Out in the streets, they call it murder. Welcome back to the Random Show, episode number, what is it now? Episode number something. I think I forgot what exactly it is, but you know if you're listening to it. Episode something. Hope you are doing well. Wherever this thing may be finding you, I hope you are doing splendid. I really, really do hope so. That is only the hope, that you are doing well wherever you guys may be. What's good? What's happening? Hope you're all well wherever you are. Oops, what's happening there? The phone went on, of course, automatically, because that always happens. So big up me. But yeah, large of everybody in the sector, large of everybody in the town, in the city, hanging in there, waiting for me. I do appreciate every single one of you. I know it's been a long time coming and all that malarkey, but you know how it is, isn't it? Life gets the better of us, but we're back in the hot seat now. Episode number 78 of the Random Show, sorry. The Random Show. Hope you are well wherever you may be, and we're going to be locked in here. So big up the chat, big up everybody who's hanging in the chat right now, streaming in, jumping into it, and all that malarkey. Come in your droves, in your thousands. Welcome me back into this live streaming life. Make me feel validated and seen. I would appreciate that. Big up everybody in the chat so far. Big up MN, big up Hasse B, and big up bodybuilding.news, who says Harley is doing another interview right now with MMA-Holes. Oh really? I don't know what that channel is. What's MMA-Holes? Let me YouTube that right now. What's MMA-Holes? Because I'm so late in all this stuff. So a lot of things been going on in the world of all these guys. You know, most of you guys are aware. And to be completely honest with you, I got kind of bored of this stuff. I'm not gonna lie. It kind of gets a bit boring talking about the same people again and again and again and again and again. But obviously this BGL, AMA and expose has kind of lit things up again, and people are back out again, excited to talk about all this redacted stuff regarding Brendan and everything regarding Tfatk and Bryan Callen and stuff. So clearly, you know, it's kind of spruced some life into the scene. But I can't lie, man, I was getting a little bit bored of it. I was getting a little bit tired and bored of it, and I didn't really want to talk about it anymore. But hey, we're back in it again, in it, because why not? Why, you know, check this out. What's MMA-Holes? I'm not really sure what this channel is. I've never seen something called MMA. Okay, I see it now. MMA-Holes interview with Mark Harley. Okay, cool. Why not? Let's check this out then. Let's just watch this and see what I got with this. Let me see what this Mark Harley guy is saying on this channel, MMA-Holes. We're doing this live and direct, live in the moment. Oh yeah, big up Uche. Big up Uche in the chat. Long time no see, my friend. Long time. Hope you are well, Uche. Big up your chest. Let me see what happens here. Let's let this load. Let's see what the vibe is on this interview with Mark Callen. Come on, load.
Here's the thing.
This is a pretty disgusting media talk, to be
talking
fair.
About a guy who's a narcissistic, pathological liar who starts gay rumors about my friends, who fucks.
No, it's a bit weird, isn't it? Right? This is all starting because Mark Harley didn't get paid. He was okay with Brendan beforehand, and suddenly the guy doesn't pay him, and he goes completely scorched earth on the guy. I don't really like this. I've got to be honest. I don't really like this too much. And this is kind of a preview into my impression about the whole BGL thing, but I'm not really a fan of the guy. I think, what's the thing called? Uche. I can always trust Uche to be on the same page as me. I still think he's a dweeb. Yeah, man, I'm not a fan of it, because you were friends and you were cool with how he was and who he was as a person. Then suddenly he doesn't pay you, and now you're trying to validate everything everyone's been saying about him. I don't know, man. It's a bit weird. It's a bit strange. And he's starting to make his entire career off the back of not liking Brendan anymore. I know I can't speak about it because I do the streams. I know, fair enough, but it just seems a bit weird to go from a friend that's backing and defending him in public and writing flipping essays on the people's comments and replies and stuff, pontificating about how much of a good guy he is, and then suddenly you're going the other way. It seems a bit strange, just for me. Anyway, I don't know. Let's play.
People over financially, who treats me like shit, who goes on the road and tells like weird lied made up stories. So I'm talking to him like this. I'm like, you know what's no, you know, because he's like rebutting. I'm like, hey, you know what's not cool is you trying to convince me that this guy who does A, B, C, D, and E is a good guy and that I shouldn't talk about it publicly. Click. And I go, I said, hey man, like I knew you were gonna fucking try to manipulate me. Fuck off. And then I blocked him.
Okay.
So like that's being unhinged. I talked to him for like 40 minutes, you know, and it was very calm. And then when somebody just keeps going, it's like, hey, dude, like you're not hearing me. Schaub's a piece of shit and you're fucking enabling him.
I think Bryan is a good person who just tries to like keep it calm and he doesn't understand.
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Maybe he's too close to the whole thing to see how Brendan really is.
Mm.
But I don't want to talk anything bad about Bryan. I don't think he tried to manipulate you. I think he just tried to, you know, make this all go away and for everybody.
Okay, so it sounds like they're talking about Bryan Callen. It sounds like BGL got on the phone with Bryan and they had a bit of an argument and a back and forth. And Bryan did what Bryan always does and cucked out and defended Brendan. I also have to defend Bryan in this case, as much as I don't like the guy and I still think he's an R word, you know, and I'm not talking about redacted. I'm talking about the other word where you know, pin women down and do what you want with them against their will. I still think that stuff is true, but we have to be fair and say he is one of Brendan's long-lasting friends. He's also somebody that brought him into the industry. They clearly have some level of kinship, even though it's a weird relationship now. I still think they're genuinely friends. So even if your friend does wrong, I'm a believer. Again, I don't have many friends, but I would imagine when you have friends, even if they're wrong, in public, you never say they're wrong. Even with other people, you never agree they're wrong. Behind the closed doors, you might scold your friends, but you always defend your friends, regardless, right or wrong, you always defend them. So Bryan sticking up for Brendan in this regard, even though he knows Brendan's a piece of shit, isn't that surprising. And also, let's be honest, Bryan Callen has alimony to pay. He's looking after 2 families, 2 households. You know, the Hollywood career is basically over after those R-word allegations. He has to kind of look after where his flipping bread is being buttered. And at the moment, I would assume a large portion of his salary or his income, I'd imagine, comes from fighting a kid, a related thing. So he kind of has to look after that. So if Brendan goes under, that podcast goes under, because Bryan isn't going to keep that thing going by himself. Impossible. So he has to kind of protect his money in that regard. So I definitely understand why he's been defending him, if that's the case.
To be like, for this to not happen. But
yeah,
well,
yeah,
a fucking piece of shit.
yeah. Like I don't even know how Bryan represented the conversation, but it's like I gave Bryan a lot of my time and a lot of my patience, but there's a limit to, you know, when you're trying to convince me to not. It's like, oh, you're trying to persuade me to not speak my truth about my experience to people who are interested in it. Mm-hmm. What's your motivation there?
Well, here's the thing that doesn't line up with what you guys are saying here, and this might hit you off guard. So apparently this source tells me Callen goes to Brendan and is like, dude, I honestly don't know what play you have here other than to fire this guy. This is Bryan Callen saying to Brendan. This is the story coming from the Schaub situation over here. Does that sound weird? Or
what is going on here? This guy, MMA-Holes, somehow, from what I've been able to ascertain, is saying that he's got insider sources leaking information about what's going on behind it. Look at BGL's face. He's so confused. He's got information of people, texting him and telling him the inner goings on of what led to BGL getting fired and stuff. This is insane. How toxic is that whole scene, that you have people leaking information like this to randoms online? I don't know. Again, this guy might not be a random. He might be someone connected with people. I don't really know. It's the first time I've heard of MMA-Holes, so big up him. Subscribe to his channel. But if he's got people on the inside leaking this information about BGL, that's horrible. It could just be Brendan, you know, doing his flipping covert ops. But that's pretty weird, isn't it? It's just a podcast. It's not that serious. Why are they leaking information about people's position and stuff as if it's NBC or something? This is flipping odd. And BGL getting angry that Bryan wasn't getting convinced about his argument is also bizarre, but I don't know.
Or does that sound accurate?
Bryan
stepping in and saying, hey, we got to get rid of this guy?
Maybe privately, because when I didn't get back to him, one of the things, and I'll send you all the text messages that I had between these.
This man is like in these. The thing is all about BGL is like he's not that old, is he? He's quite young, but he looks much older than he looks. So when he's like ranting and raving and pontificating about falling out with somebody over money, which happens all the time, it makes him look so lame. It's, you know, because he should be bigger than this. Like, just deal with it in a mature way. I don't know, take him to court, sue him if you have to, but this back and forth, this flipping, you know, Real Housewives of fucking Joe Rogan Extended Universe stuff is absolutely horrendous.
These guys, you know, when when I didn't respond to them for like 3.5 to 4 hours. They make this huge deal about it, like, oh my God, I don't know what we can do. Mark's not, like, it was like, the sky is falling. Mark isn't editing a reel for social media. We have to go to my, like, so, and then Callen's in the group text, like, arguing with me almost more forcefully than Brendan was the next day. Like, so I'm not saying Bryan wouldn't do this, like, because, and actually at some point before, Bryan was actually like, he called me up the first time I had a big argument with Brendan, was like, you know, you don't even want to work there. Like, fuck Thiccc Boy Studios. Like, you don't want to work there. Like, it's not, you know, like this, you're above this job. So like, Bryan also could have, giving him the benefit of the doubt, been talking to Brendan like, yeah, like, this is a good thing for everybody. But in the moment, yes, Bryan was actually pissed that like, during, again, this was a month or 5 weeks ago when I actually was fired, that like he calls him up and is like, or sorry, like they seem to be talking off you know, in a private text, because like, I think Brendan like elevated Bryan's worry about the situation, because
this nigga's a chatty fucking patty, innit? I hate men like this, man, just gossiping and bickering about nonsense. Like, first of all, am I the only person that thinks, even if you're working for a cunt, and Brendan might be a cunt, he might be a horrible boss, but usually if you're working for horrible bosses and they have unrealistic or annoying or like really flipping harsh working standards, if you like the job and you like the money, you just acquiesce to what they want. So if you've got, but I've worked in places where managers call you on the weekends, where they expect you to respond to emails on the weekends, to have flipping Slack on your phone. Sometimes you work with people who are cunts like that, and you just have to kind of acquiesce if you want to keep the job. If you don't want to keep the job, go somewhere else. So if Brendan wanted a reel done at a particular time, or he expects replies within a minute or a second, you have to reply in a minute or a second. You can't be surprised or annoyed if he then gets pissed off and wants to fire you for it. Surely not, no? Or am I bugging out? I know he's a piece of shit, and he, you know, clearly isn't the best boss in the world, and probably shouldn't be a manager or a leader in any kind of way, shape or form, especially his interpersonal skills, probably not the best. But if he has a way of working and he expects you to work that way, and you don't want to, and you don't do that, it shouldn't be no surprise that you get fired, no? Or am I bugging out? I don't really understand his issue here. Like, Brendan is a cunt and want you to reply within 2 seconds. Reply in 2 seconds. If you can't reply in 2 seconds, you know, clearly tell the person why you can't do it and then move on. It's just weird.
Bryan, like, suddenly Brendan's worried about, he's never texted me before. Like, an episode drops about clips in the entire fucking whatever since I've known him. You know, and he, also, I haven't even, you know, going back to the clips, I haven't known how to edit for 6 months. Like, I haven't even been able to use Premiere for 6 months. So how could I not be like doing clips for a channel when like I didn't even know how to edit for yeah. I learned how to edit 3 months ago. But anyway, yes, the Bryan thing would actually make sense, because
Brendan definitely got his Adderall from fucking BGL for sure.
Okay.
He seemed really like, oh my God, Mark, can't you admit that you're wrong? Like, you know, in this text message the next day, I'm like, no, I'm not going to fucking admit that I'm wrong, because all I did was not text you back and you got the work, you know? And I also said, if you paid this other editor, tell me the amount of money that you paid him and I'll pay him right fucking now, because that's the only thing that you're able to cite. What's up, Luana? No,
going back and forth with your boss over text and shouting at them and telling them you did the work and stuff is fucking weird, man. So weird. What did he expect? How was this going to end? He tried to out alpha his boss and tried to assert his dominance, and clearly Brendan doesn't like people questioning him or stepping to him in any kind of way, shape or form. We've known this from the beginning of time. Brendan doesn't take well to criticism. He doesn't take well to pushback. He doesn't take well to anything in that kind of regard, right? You kind of have to acquiesce and kind of play the second. Even Bryan Callen does it. Bryan Callen is not a partner on Tfatk. He's basically Brendan Schaub's employee. Brendan hires him to be his co-host, but they're not partners in that shit. It's Brendan's thing. So I don't know what Mark was. I don't know why he's surprised. Like, I'm generally shocked about how he's responding to this. It's super weird.
I don't need to calm down, because this is representative of how upset I am actually to hear that, like, whoever you got this from, like, it's a complete fabrication. It's very telling, because again, you know, if he could stick to the facts, it wouldn't look flattering. And that's why I'm willing, like, hey, release all your screenshots, release any fucking information you have about me not posting to a social media page, not making clips for a social media page before I knew how to use Premiere, you know.
Release the screenshots of what? Like you go back and forward of a copy for social media. Like what is going on here, man? They're going to release clips and receipts for social media managing and posting and content calendars and stuff. Like this is one of the most redacted beefs I've ever seen in my entire life. And this is all because of Brendan not, you know, owing BGL some amount of money. I think it's 5,000. I think so. I remember seeing the Reddit. It could be more. The moment Brendan pays him the money, this guy's going to disappear, by the way. This is my theory, but this is weird.
It just doesn't make any sense factually. So
Listen,
that's all.
I just want to make it very clear. I'm not taking a side in this. This is just something that was sent to me. As soon as we announced that we having you on, this got sent my direction. They did say it was 8 hours that you didn't respond to them. That's what they're saying. So that's not true too, right?
I can also send you screenshots of that. And actually,
okay.
Here. Luana, what's up, dude?
I was just saying that was when we were driving back from Vegas. I was in the car the entire time this was going on.
Yeah.
And the thing is, Mark had taken not even a day off. It was just like, I'm still in Vegas. This is the first time Mark and I did something in months because Mark is always working for Brendan the entire time. Brendan is I don't know. He needs constant talking, control, whatnot.
So
okay.
I don't know if you can see this, but
hold on, I'll zoom in here. Okay, so you got to. It looks like it has that blur effect on, so I think that's what's messing it up a little.
Having your wife jump in on a call like this and say how much of a good guy you are is like so sad, man. Bless the wife. What else is she gonna do? That's her boy. That's her hubby. That's her guy. Of course she's gonna defend him. It doesn't validate your claims in any way, shape, or form. If anything, I think, again, I don't know much about this story and what's going on, but I think both parties are to blame. I think they're probably the best and the worst for each other. I said at the beginning, I always thought BGL, as much as I didn't like him, I felt like he was a good friend for Brendan because it seemed like he actually liked him despite his flaws. But I also could see how it could crumble because he clearly thinks he's a star himself. And I just think, you know, what was that? 48 Laws of Power, never outshine the master and all that kind of stuff. He just didn't know how to play second fiddle. I don't think so. And it's hard, I would imagine, right? If you're BGL and you're seeing Brendan, who's clearly a redact, who struggles to speak, who doesn't have the best personality, doesn't really treat people well, and he's wildly successful and a multi-millionaire, and you're working for him every single day and he's treating you like shit. It's hard to like take that well. I understand his frustration, but I don't see the issue here really. Like he overstepped his mark. He kind of did stuff that Brendan didn't like and he got fired, innit? It's just not that big of a deal really.
A little bit.
Damn it. Hold on. Let me take the effect. Can I take the blur effect off?
Yeah.
Probably. Okay. Because I'm going to show you. It's so funny. 8 hours. Change background. Okay. No background.
There we go.
So I don't know if you can see. Can you see the numbers there? For when the episode was sent and when the first reel was sent.
Okay, it says 10:16 p.m. I see.
And what does the thing before that say?
Okay, Spider and Kid episode. It's a little blurred, so I can't really see what that says.
Just says what it says in BGL, man. We can't see it. It's on your phone.
Spider and Kid episode 862. Like. Bradley Martin. Okay, it's 6:17. There we go.
So between the episode dropping and me sending a first reel is, as I just showed you, less than 4 hours. 3 hours and 59 minutes.
Ooh. Okay. So there we go. There we go.
Oops.
Smoking gun right there. There is actual evidence.
But hey, yeah, thank you, because
this is so gay, and I mean it in the best way possible. This is so gay. Gay in all caps. I can't believe what I'm listening to. And these guys think they like have any place in society to like lecture us regular civilians and having to optimize your life and do X, Y, and Z and hustling, all this stuff. They literally think they're above us. They think they're better than us, like regular folks somehow. Yet here they are bickering and complaining about texts and social media posts and who did this. Like, what the fuck is going on? People get fired every day, B. It's not that big of a deal. You fucked up, you overstepped the mark, you stepped on your boss's toes, you got pissed off, and you happen to work for one of the worst sociopath, narcissistic, pathological liars in the world. Whatever. You liked him 6 months ago, now you're crying. It is what it is. Pick up your toys and go home. Like, what is this? This is so gay, so lame, so cringe, so corny. Like, please, please. And these are grown men, grown adults.
Everything they fucking said was a lie, dude. Like, you know, and I guess, you know, I hope, I hope, you know, people can see that like everything I said 4 hours, and this is, you know, roughly what it was. But like, I also had to listen to the fucking episode first, you know, so you can subtract that time of like, how am I supposed to cut a reel without having watched the episode or getting a time code from anybody? You know, so that's the first issue, is that I had to listen to an 1.5-hour episode. And, you know, then from there I sat down, you know, I didn't get home till a couple hours after that. So anyway, I did it as fast as I could. And then I kept working. And the idea that I was, you know, absent for 8 hours is an exaggeration by, you know, that's 100% wrong, literally.
Interesting. Very interesting. Now, chat, make with what you will.
That's a great comment there from Nine Tails. MMA Guru is the apex predator of MMA YouTube. He already ended MMA-Holes and killed their channel. Yeah, I like MMA Guru. He's cool. By the way, what's going on with this MMA-Holes? Could someone give me an explanation? Why is this guy involved or talking about Brendan Schaub and the firing the kid and all this stuff? Is it just random shit that I'm doing? Like, what's his connection with the whole Tfatk stuff? Because I'm assuming it's an MMA channel, right? I don't know nothing about his channel. I don't want to click around, but I'm assuming it's an MMA guy. So what's his connection with Brendan and the firing the kid and that stuff? Oh, okay, cool. Algorithm is okay. So Naito saying MMA-Holes is grifting now. His algorithm is dead. MMA-Holes is a nobody and he's not connected. Okay, cool. So he's just a guy basically that's got a channel who kind of pivots. Okay, he's pivoting because I don't really understand what his connection was with this stuff in the slightest.
With that information over there, and I appreciate you fielding, you know, these accusations from the other side. I do want to get both sides of the story because I feel like that's the best way to do this.
Absolutely.
But you're very convincing.
It's very telling because I didn't know what he was like. Schaub hasn't like. He hasn't tried to like talk to me or go like, oh, well, you were wrong about this one. He's been trying to get me to meet up with him. And so like, there was no phone call. There's no social media clips channel for 6 months. Like again, I haven't been doing my job for 6 months and you didn't fire me. What does that tell you about what you're doing, buddy? You know, and, you know, thirdly, we just showed you how your claim of 8 hours was not true in the slightest. So
what do you think? So do you think, I mean, it seems like that you are officially parted ways. Would you ever think about working with Brendan ever again, or is that it? Enough's enough with this guy?
Fuck no, dude. He's, as you can see here, what kind of boss is that, right? What kind of boss is that? He lies constantly about everything. There's not a single person in this guy's life who he tells the truth to, his family included. So, you know, let's just think about that. There's not a single person in his life who he tells the truth to. Why would I want to work for a human like that? He simply can't stick to his word. And when I'm telling, you know, the truth about,
he's cool to work with or be in a company with Chris D'Elia, Bryan Callen is considering their allegations. So this moral diatribe he's going on is fucking nonsense, really, isn't it? And again, he excused all of this stuff before. Now suddenly it's an issue. It just doesn't make any sense. Again, just be honest and say, yeah, you're pissed off. You've seen the true colors of the guy since you've been owed money. But let's not try and rewrite history. Brendan hasn't changed. He's the same dude that he was when they were cool. This is so bizarre to me.
My own experiences, as we just showed, he's out there making wild exaggerations about what really happened because he can't take ownership and has to completely try to discredit me. Not with the truth. If I fucked up, I'd admit it. And I told you I could have texted him back. And I that was something that it was like other people go, well, you should have. Yes, you're right. If I wanted to keep my job, I should have. But I put him in a position. I did it deliberately to go, what are you going to choose? Are you going to choose to be mad about me not getting back to you for a few hours? Or are you going to choose to look at the fact that I just gave you 5 times more?
He's playing psychological games with his boss. Forget them being friends and stuff. Just imagine playing psychological games with your boss to ascertain as to where you stand and shit. What did this guy expect would happen though? Like, really? What did he expect would happen? He's playing chicken with somebody who doesn't like to be looked at as a chicken, and he clearly got exposed. It is what it is, isn't it? He called your bluff in some way, shape or form, and now you're running around doing a media tour about the guy. So if anything, like, you kind of need him really, innit? Because without Brendan's name, what is really BGL out here in these streets? Like, Brendan could argue that. He could legitimately say, like, I gave you your career. Without me, you have none. And now you're gone, you're flipping, been running this into the ground. And it's coming up to a week, innit, of this whole affair going down. And he's probably still going to be talking about this, you know, for the subsequent days coming up. So, he just looks so lame, man.
More work than any editor has ever given you by 9 a.m., and he chose the former.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, listen, we have some alerts from the community over here. You ready to field some questions from the chat?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to let these things fly through here. Let's see what we got.
Super chat.
This is from The Clipper.
Hey, Mark, tell us all about the Yeknik lawsuit.
Okay, so actually, this is fascinating. I just actually, right before we went live, I noticed that Unique said that he won the lawsuit. I don't know the details behind this, but what are your thoughts on?
I know what the update was. I know, like, he kind of stretched it out, you know, so, but, like, look, here's what I know. Brendan, after getting accused of, like, you know, he was accused of, like, handing off his number to somebody, at this Malka event almost like a year ago to the day of, you know, at this Super Bowl party where he was on a live broadcast with Mike Tyson and some other football players. And on the widescreen shot, you could see him hand this number to somebody, or a piece of paper with writing on it.
To a girl.
Now,
that wasn't his wife.
Video saying, oh, this is evidence he's cheating on his wife. He handed off this piece of paper. Now, I don't know. I'm agnostic about what actually happened. Brendan told me, you know, oh, this is a professional contact, whatever. Who knows? Because in retrospect, like, you know, again, anything that Brendan says, you can't take at face value because he's a pathological liar.
You were right there, brother. What do you think happened? What do you think he was handing to her? Do you think he handed to her a fucking manual on how to fucking design on Photoshop or something? What do you think was on that fucking note? We've seen Brendan's handwriting. He's not writing a fucking soliloquy. It's not going to be a poem. It's not going to be a short story. It's going to be, hey, want to bang or something? You know what I mean? Want to get down? I want to get balls deep into you. I want to flip and spread your guts all over my flipping bedroom walls. Whatever. You know what it was going to be. You know what time it was. Why is this guy fucking dancing around this issue as if it's a big deal? If anything, maybe it's because he wants to protect his own skeletons. But come on. We know what the deal is. We know the truth. R.I.P. Draco.
But this is one of many critical videos that Unique has made. Brendan decided he had enough, and that was the final straw. And so he hired, he did a bunch of copyright claims on like all his videos that use any sort of footage from, you know, so that wasn't even one of them. I think that like got copyright, you know, struck because he was using all ones that had footage from like Tfatk or other shows. Now, Unique challenged it. And I guess the next step after that, if, you know, somebody says like, this isn't your material, then you're like, no, it's fair use. Then you have to take it to court. You know, I guess YouTube, my understanding of it is YouTube kind of goes, yeah, like you guys deal with it now. So Brendan spent several $100,000 apparently fighting this guy in court, you know, and he keeps bragging about like, I got these beast of a lawyer, Justin Bieber's guy, and you know, this and that, like but it's like, okay, like, but so you can keep this guy's YouTube channel down because the guy instantaneously made another YouTube channel and has been making videos about Brendan since. So he literally just took, you know, like $250,000 and flushed it down the toilet. And he kept complaining about like, oh, I got another like, you know, bill for $10,000 to have to file this thing. Wow. You know, it just seemed like a giant money pit. And actually that would be really funny if Unique actually won this lawsuit, you know, because Brendan's understanding of it was that this guy's going to have to, he's going to have to take down all his channels. So I'm like, I thought you guys like sue this guy, got to take it down, but like he still has a channel. And he's like, oh, well, if we win this lawsuit coming up, and Unique's kept pushing it, you know, pushing the ball down the road a little bit to put off this final judgment. But like, if he did all that and then lost the fucking case, my God, that would be hilarious.
Dude, I couldn't believe it. Right before, I don't know what the story is. I know he's live. He was live before. Right when we went live, I saw it. I was like, fuck, I wish I could watch this and find out. But Unique, if you won, that is pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
This nigga asked him about the Unique lawsuit and he gave a whole fucking synopsis and background on the whole case itself, started dancing around the whole note, didn't mention anything about Brendan using, I think there was some sounds of some woman crying in the background of Unique's post and making it sound like he was abusing his wife and using that as part of the lawsuit, which then was attached to the thing that he was trying to do to take down a Tfatk subreddit and accusing people of being diddlers. No, I think he might have accused Unique of being a diddler. There's loads of really nefarious things attached to it. But obviously BGO is kind of skipping around that because, you know, he still wants to go back home to daddy. He still wants to go back and suck on that Brendan Schaub teat in the first place anyway, but whatever, innit? If Unique won it, he won. If he didn't, he didn't. It was a dumb lawsuit for Brendan to take part of in the first place anyway. If anything, it made the whole handing of a note thing to the girl look way worse than what it was. If he just would have ignored it and let it go away, he would have been fine. But as BGL said, that one was the straw that broke the camel's back. I understand it.
Oh my. All right, let's see what else we got over here.
Super chat.
Okay, this is from Robert Gould.
Marg, where did Big Gay Lion come from? Welcome to community of homeless cats. We don't matter, B. For real though, you seem like a good guy.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's actually been really cool connecting with a lot of people on Reddit when I came into the AMA and kind of, as I said,
this nigga sucks, man. He sucks. He's so lame. He sucks. And if you're a fan of people like this, I swear to God, I pray for you. And I hope you get better people to kind of look up to and to enjoy the content of. This guy sucks. He's a leech, bro. He's been hanging on and trying to make it in Hollywood for many years, struggling and not trying to figure it out, which isn't a crime. We all kind of try to chase our dreams. It doesn't work out. But along the way, he just turned into the worst caricature of people that you'd meet. And I've met a couple of BGLs in my lifetime of going to LA a few times and hanging around that scene and seeing people how they are and how they're trying to use anybody and everybody to get forward and stuff and not being, you know, appreciative of opportunities that they get, feeling entitled, feeling deserving of certain things. Like, it's just really stinky. And I think Uche mentioned it before. It's like, it's also just not good, like, to practice this kind of, you know, to kind of carry yourself this way, especially in those kind of environments, because you'd imagine in those kind of scenes, it's all kind of word of mouth, it's all recommendations type of stuff to get certain jobs and certain gigs. And if you're flying off the handle of like basically of just not getting paid what you're owed, and you're exposing all the flipping secrets of someone that you worked with who's already, you know, suffering what he suffers from with people online, Brendan, right? He's got some of the biggest haters and long-standing and, you know, enthusiastic ones out there. It doesn't make you look the greatest, because everybody now knows that if they slight you in any kind of way, they are also susceptible to being exposed and being flipping, you know, have their business splurge all over the place at any flipping given moment. It really hasn't really endeared him to anybody. I don't think so, in my opinion. And again, like, maybe it's not a bad thing, because he really has nothing else to offer anybody apart from the insights he's gained with working with Brendan Schaub, really. You know what I mean? What talent and what insight that he has really that people care about. I know he's big and he's muscly and shit, but I don't see people really caring too much about his fitness and weightlifting shit either. I don't necessarily think he's that funny. I don't think he's that smart or, you know, or has any really insightful opinions on any kind of certain things. So this is basically all he has to run with, and it's going to run out very soon. So this is kind of a bit of a, you know, he kind of has to just go down with the boats basically, I guess, and try and squeeze as much as he can out of this. But Jesus Christ, man, what a terrible promo run.
Came clean and took responsibility for the things that I feel like I need to take ownership of, and that, you know, that I did mistakes.
Yes. Big up Zach's in the half in the flipping chat. Big up Zach half. Big up you. I'm good, my friend. I'm good.
I've made, and interacting with you guys or characterizing you guys, and even just like, you know, working for Schaub. Again, that's me. That's my decision. Nobody forced me to do that, so I take ownership of that. And it's been cool to kind of like get messages from people where they go, you can actually see above, like, you know, oh, 6 months ago you're talking shit to me, and then you're like, hey man, my bad, like I had a different perception of you back then, and I, you know, after the AMA. That's really cool, because I can do that too, and I hope people.
And again, there's no collective hive mind when it comes to people that, you know, aren't necessarily fans of Tfatk and Brendan Schaub. Everyone's got a right to their opinion, and if they like the guy, they like him. Fair play. I think their subreddit is kind of split in that opinion. I think for the most part, a lot of those guys on there, because there's not much information to kind of glean in the background, a lot of Brendan stuff, which is kind of I think made one of the frustrating parts about being part of the subreddit. Everyone can kind of see he's a piece of shit, but it's kind of hard to kind of get any more juice out of it, because everyone else in the scene is kind of scared to say anything because of Rogan. Then when Brendan kind of fell out of favor with Rogan, you could see a little bit of people getting confident to say certain things, but still, you didn't really get the inside scoop. So BGL has been the closest thing to a real expose as to what's happening behind the scenes at Tfatk, and people on that subreddit were frothing at the mouth for some fresh material, for some fresh, hot, juicy, fresh out of the flipping, you know, kitchen orange chicken to kind of nibble on, and obviously he provided it. But again, I don't necessarily see what he serves outside of what he's already given us, and we've heard most of the stories already. Most of the things he put out there about Brendan, everyone could kind of guess it from just using discernment. So it's gonna run dry soon.
You know, are able to have this fresh start. Where did BGL come from? It was a nickname that came up pretty quickly. Obviously, it stands for Big Gay Lion. I think it's not a bad nickname at all. Like, I love lions and I love cats, and you know, like, so.
What? You fucking dork.
It's a catchy one, right? That's the main thing about a nickname. It has to be catchy. It's not too over the top. You know, it's like, oh no, I'm being called gay.
Oh, he's so fucking lame, man. Is he psychoanalyzing and trying to fucking break down a fucking throwaway nickname people gave him to take the piss out of him? He's trying to like do like what? I'm gonna take away the power from this and claim it as my own. It's like, go away, man. Wish I could fucking blur his face on the stream.
Like and BGL is catchy as an acronym too, so it just stuck.
You're gonna put on a fucking t-shirt or something as well? Is that what you're gonna do? You're gonna be selling beanies with the fucking logo on it? Like, enough with this shit, man. It's just a throwaway nickname to take the piss. It's not that big of a deal. It's not that deep.
You know.
There you go. And by the way, there is an update in the chat. It does look like Unique actually won the lawsuit, so it looks like it actually is true. Ladies and gentlemen, one for the boys over here.
Hey.
Oh my God.
Fucking lame. I'm ashamed to be even associated or part of this whole shit. These fucking guys celebrating something that has nothing to do with you. What the fuck are you doing, man? Get a hobby, get a life, man. Buy a cat or a dog or something. Fucking hell.
I just got bent over and fucked in the ass by Unique. Like, how did that feel? How does that feel, Brendan? You just got outed as a liar on this show, and then also Unique fucked you over, took out his dick, and he bent you over, pulled out his dick, and fucked you in the ass. I know. My wife said he probably liked that. You're right.
Oh my! He probably. I like your wife. She seems like she's a feisty one.
Yeah, she's a feisty one, all right.
Let's see what else we got over here for Hella Mark.
Super chat.
Okay, this is Esteban.
Marg, what do you think of newly Mexican thirst trap posted on Reddit today? Mystic most bring it up. Very dicey.
Very dicey indeed. Seems like there's probably trouble in paradise, huh? If you and your wife are, you know, have this super healthy marriage and you're just posting like OnlyFans. But now she looks great. Not gonna take that away from her, but like, I mean, come on, you know. I don't know what's going on over there, but like, they're not going to post a picture together. Like, it's just kind of funny. I don't know.
Is that the picture? The picture I just pulled up on Instagram over here, where his wife is just all of a sudden naked, like half naked on, like, what is going on?
What's up?
Well, out of a woman's perspective, I just want to say, Joanna's great. Whatever happens, she does not deserve it. Mm-hmm. Sometimes if husband doesn't make you feel good, you got to post shit like this because you got to get it from somewhere else. And I stand 100% behind her that she posted this. She's hot. She should show it. And that motherfucker doesn't deserve her.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, I don't have a problem with her posting hot pictures of herself, but to me, it would indicate, like...
Didn't you just say you had a problem with it? Like, why are these people speaking at both sides of their mouths? It's not that big of a deal. We all know what the issue. We all know what's going on. We all know what the deal was. We all know what happens when people post those kind of pictures. Clearly, there's trouble in paradise, as even BGL's wife was saying back, you know, in the fucking off camera. Clearly, she's not getting the attention that she needs from home, and she's trying to get it online on social media. It is what it is. Personally, I would have thought that would have been a good for OnlyFans promotion, but I get the feeling Brenda's probably the type of guys that wouldn't let her have an OnlyFans. But I think she'd make a killing on OnlyFans. If Kat is making fucking $100,000 per month or something, I think the Mexican will make so much money on there if she wanted to. Especially being a mum, people on those OnlyFans thing love fucking milfs, so that would work. But I don't think Brendan will be down for it. But it's not that deep. It is what it is, isn't it? I don't know. Let them live. Who cares?
Yeah. because he does not really like posting her. I mean, let's be honest, like, and so it would seem to indicate something. I don't think it's wrong to read into that post, I guess is what I was saying.
Yeah, he commented, he says, not sure how I got so lucky, but I'll take it. Thanks, life. Thank you for being the rock of our amazing family. Me and the boys are so lucky to have Happy Valentine's Day, boo. But it's a weird caption for this picture, right? It's a little bizarre.
Agreed. So, I'm not getting...
It shouldn't be that surprising though. We all know what they're like, innit? They're not really like normal people. This is the same people that posted the fucking funeral fits, right? Remember I spoke about that on the stream, where they were taking pictures of each other's outfit going to a fucking funeral because they're wearing Balenciaga. It's just, people are just different. It's what it is. I don't think this is a big issue. Just move on.
She's not stupid. She says,
she knows what's happening.
So yeah, I'll stop there. I could say more, but I'll leave it there. But let's just say there's not too much that you could read into that would be out of bounds, I'd say.
Okay. And by the way, guys, if you're just jumping in, we're talking to Hella Mark Harley, and we're not trying to just completely, I know it looks like we're just shitting on Schaub and this and that. We're just getting a side of a story over here. We're learning this side of the situation, and it's very convincing. I mean, and as the show goes on, it gets worse and worse for Brendan. I'm not going to lie. Like I said, we're not looking to cancel the guy. That's not what we're looking to do over here, but no, it's a whole thing,
facts are facts. I mean, facts are facts. And when somebody's out,
not looking to cancel the guy. Here I go on a 1 week plus tour, divulging all the flipping dirty secrets of my former employer, who's one of the most hated men in fucking social media, in content creation, in comedy at the moment. Right, 1 week plus fucking promo run, but I'm not trying to cancel him. All right, cool. Yeah, whatever you say.
They're like, and look, he's been bad mouthing me the whole time. I brought up the example before where, he's like, he's done this 30 times where something happens and he turns around and it's like, makes shit up. Like he was bad mouthing me and Luana after we came over to his house to talk MMA, and he's acting like we just wouldn't shut the fuck up and he couldn't pay attention to the fights when really something else entirely was going on. So he likes to do this, like he swaps characters in a story, like something will happen. Like the dick pic joke about me, it's like, my guess is some dude sent him a fucking dick pic that he's trying to hook up with, and he swapped out me for this dude, like with the shitty dick pic. I swear to God, because it's like, where the fuck does this come from? He doesn't use imagination in any of his fucking bits, and everything is made up. Like he did this in Gringo PAPI, like there's this thing that he made up about, he said his wife's a real rattlesnake. First of all, she's a super nice person.
Why does this annoy him? I'm just confused. Why is he annoyed that Brendan Schaub does what every other comedian does and takes artistic license, creative license with the truth when it comes to his comedy bits? I don't like it myself. I think it's annoying and corny. I think Bert Kreischer is the top of it, who kind of exaggerates all of his stories, and it gets annoying when he tries to act like they're real in actual podcasts. But every comedian does this. Why does it feel like a personal attack though? That's what I don't understand. It could be an annoyance, but this faces of somebody like, you dare to joke about me and my wife asking questions when we come to watch MMA. It's like, brother, it's not that deep. He was trying to make funnies on the podcast. He came across like a cunt, but it's not that deep. Why is he taking this so personally? Like, what's his issue with this, with Brendan taking creative license on the stories and the jokes and the bits that he does? His wife's actually not a rattlesnake. She's actually a good guy. It's like, all right, cool. You go fuck her then. Like, what do you want, a medal?
And he attributes this line to her, like, crap out the uglies, and text back, like, as if they're in a group chat with, like, school parents, and, like, they send a kid on the first day of school, and she goes, crap out the uggos. He actually said that. So again, he swaps the characters to make something else look bad. He does this whole bit about how his mom or his mother-in-law is like this, mijo, I don't speak English. Like you kind of picture this, like, this woman who just made it over the border to like cook for her son-in-law. And it's like, the mom-in-law is like this beautiful 50-year-old European-looking woman who speaks perfect English with a slight accent. Like, none of it is fucking real. He says his wife's from Guadalajara, moved here 10 years ago illegally. She was born in Hollywood. What the fuck are you talking about? Like,
oh my God.
It's literally, it doesn't stop. That's what I'm like. That's why I feel like calling this out. It's like, no.
But didn't his wife also say she was from Guadalajara? That interview that she did, I think they deleted it off of social media. They got it scrubbed because it was getting mass voted. But she's the one that lied, first of all. She's the one that kept talking like on social media like she's from Guadalajara. And if anything, Brendan got duped. Like that guy, what's his name? The one that's dating, the one that shot the person, Alec Baldwin. Similar to that. I don't think Alec Baldwin knew that his wife wasn't Spanish or wasn't from Mallorca, and she's just from Boston or wherever she's from. He just assumed that she was. Why would he know any different? He's just some regular American guy. Why would he know the difference between Mallorca? Like, how would he be able to tell the difference of who's actually Spanish? I don't actually blame him for not knowing his wife wasn't Spanish. I think the same thing applies to Brendan. I don't think he knew that she wasn't from Guadalajara. He just took her word for it. And that happened to be from Hollywood. So, okay, so what? Guadalajara is still your background, so you're from there.
Dig into anything. Watch the Beige Frequency documentary where he lies about literally every single joke in his fucking special, like, doesn't add up with the timeline. He'll be talking about, watching Ace Ventura, and then UFC 1 comes on. You're like, oh, that doesn't actually work chronologically. Like, I forget what the details are, but there's all these things where, like,
why didn't you tell him when you were friends? What is this nitpicking of Brendan's material in chronological order? This is so weird, man. This level of obsession is why they were good friends, because he really cares about the guy. He knows a lot about his content, knows about him, about him personally. But this is suddenly pivot and use this as a stick to beat him with. It's bizarre to me, really. And he's taken it as a personal affront as well. Like, he's annoyed that Brendan lied about what the mum sounds like. She's actually really hot. So, okay, cool.
He says he's fighting at this venue and it's not true, and all, like, every single fact that he claims is based on a lie or an exaggeration in that special alone, and then also his whole life at large.
Damn, man, it's crazy. We did a stream and we filleted him for that whole special. We broke down every joke and we just couldn't wrap our head around it. And then afterwards I was like, oh man, I probably shouldn't have done that. That was silly. And now hearing this, I feel great about doing it. It's ridiculous.
Like, I'm with you, because I don't want to shit on anybody's like
MMA-Holes. You sound like a fucking dork. No, I mean, no offense intended, but you sound like a fucking spanner. I'm not gonna lie.
Like, earnest creative efforts.
Yeah.
But then when you look at it in the larger pattern of, like, everything he does is a lie to make other people look stupid and himself more, competent or cooler or relatable, right? It's all grandiosity and envy. He has to make him, like, he has to, like, portray this grandiose fantasy version of himself, and then also put other people down that he has this envy towards. But really, I think he despises his family and that, like, in-law side of his family.
Wow. So that's some harsh.
Yeah, that's standard though. Anyone that's paying attention to Brendan will know this is the fact. I've been saying this on the stream for a long time. Some of the jokes that he did in Gringo Papi, talking about his his Mexican wife and their background, and the fact that the kids are bilingual and they speak Spanish around him, he doesn't understand it. You can tell from the jokes and what he's inferring that it frustrates and annoys him that he hasn't been able to connect with him on that side. And to me, I've always found it odd, because he's clearly someone who loves Latina women and shit. He likes curvy women, and usually from what I remember of guys who are, because I'm not really like that, I don't really have like a cultural or ethnicity fetish. I just usually go for people who have good personalities, or just take whatever's given. But you know what I mean. But I know guys who are really into Asian women, for instance, are usually the kind of guys who are also into Asian culture. Right? They're into, like, the Asian food, they watch Asian TV shows, they listen to Asian music, they go visit the country, they learn the languages. Usually goes hand in hand. Very rarely have I met guys who are into particular regions of women and just don't care about the culture. It's very rare, unless maybe you meet those guys who are like super blonde, super model looking, flipping Russian women and stuff. Maybe those guys aren't really interested in Russian culture too much, but it usually goes hand in hand. So the first someone like Brendan, who's from LA, where there's a lot of Mexicans living there, a lot of people who are from Central America and South America, it's very bizarre that he has no interest in it. But it's also, I can understand why he would hate that. So being his kind of head, how he works, it can also make sense why he could hate them, because he just hates them from a point of insecurity, because he can't learn the language and he's frustrated, he doesn't connect with them. That's always been a bit of a fact. Again, that's why I say the BGL, AMA, as great as it was for the cats and Ibelon, everything that he's inferring, many other cats have been saying and hypothesizing just based on what we see of the guy's content. We already knew this, so this isn't really much of an expose in that regard. It's just a confirmation of what things that we already maybe assumed and we knew.
words right there. I love your honesty, bro.
Comedy,
You're my new favorite guy. Like, do you have a podcast coming out too?
Oh, now he's sucking him off. Yeah, Uche made a really great point here. BGL had no problem proclaiming KHALYLA, was an evil sociopath without ever meeting her, but conveniently didn't realize SCHAUB'S is a pathological lying narcissist until he got fired. Exactly, and not even until he got fired, Uche. He didn't realize Brendan Schaub was a pathological, narcissistic, liar, piece of shit, wherever he is, before he didn't get the money he was owed. Before that, it was fine, but as soon as Brendan didn't pay him the money he thought he was owed, suddenly Brendan becomes an issue, and all these problems are big issues that you have to kind of address and expose. The worst type of friend to have, really, to be honest, isn't it? Who needs enemies when you have friends like this?
Like, what's going on? A new podcast?
I do have a few things coming out. I'm going to not do the haters will say anymore because, like, that's my fuck you to Brendan Schaub is like, if I started anything with you, I do not need that moving forward. I don't want to take any of your fucking help or anything you helped me started. And this conversation actually helped me realize all of that this is a guy who, like, again, you know, I know friends who he claims to.
No offense, but hasn't he given this guy like a second career? Before Brendan came about, what was he doing? Like, no offense to the guy, like, legit, like, this guy's given you a career for better or worse. He's kind of breathe new life into whatever content career you had going forward. So if anything you do going forward, you owe it to Brendan, right? You know, it sucks to say it because Brendan's a piece of shit clearly and he didn't treat him well, but unfortunately anything he does from this moment on, he has to credit to Brendan because he gave him the platform to get himself out there, gave him new fans, a new lease of life and shit. It's just is what it is. They're going to be intrinsically linked until the end of time.
Have like bought cars for, and then you find out like, oh, the guy paid a down payment and like 3 monthly payments and then stopped paying, you know, and he's like going around like saying like, so all these things, if he does something for you, he'll exaggerate it 10x and then hold it over your head for the rest of your life. So in his head, he probably gave me a huge social media following too. And somebody has claimed this on my Instagram too, like he gave you a following. Like, actually, you know, I work with Isaiah Miranda, you know, 3 to 4 times a week doing these skits. He's got 1 million followers on YouTube and TikTok and all that stuff. So like, you know, the notoriety that I've gotten from this is not all from Brendan Schaub. It helped a little bit, but like he also, you know, he undermined me a lot. So how much does it help with this guy?
That again, I'm not the biggest fan of Brendan Schaub. I let the show prior, but even I can admit the guy did a lot for his career. So the fact that he can sit there and just kind of minimize the contribution Brendan Schaub, Tfatk, Bryan Callen have done to his career just goes to show what kind of person he is, in my opinion. Just dismissing that. I know he might have his own thing going on. He might do his own gym stuff and his own skits and stuff that he does at Zoo Culture. Cool. I understand that can contribute to it, but let's not kid ourselves. The main thing that put you in fucking prime time, whatever you may call it, however cringy that is, was Tfatk. Let's be real. That's the facts of it. It just is what it is. And he's just dismissing and minimizing it like that's not the case at all. It's really odd to me.
Puts you on, but then he talks shit about you in his act. He talks shit about you on his podcast. He talks shit about you to other people. Right. And also like, and because of him, you know, I had this whole community turned against me just for defending him. And, you know, luckily.
Just for defending him. You were excusing his behavior, you fucking lying piece of shit. You wasn't just defending him. You were gaslighting people. You were starting to, you know, insult them and stuff, going back and forth with people on social. This guy was being the worst. He's acting like he was just defending him like on his social. No, he went out of his way to defend him. He even left comments on my page a few times, but he deleted them and stuff, whatever. Like, you know, you knew what the guy was like and you was okay with it. Now you're not okay with it. Just say what it is.
I've been able to face it head on and I think undo a significant portion of the damage. I don't know if that'll ever be completely undone. There'll probably be some people that are there that will never like me, and that's fine. That's their prerogative. But it also goes to show you like, hey, Brendan, if you want to win people over and right this ship of every one of your shows declining in views over time and you have no fucking idea why, and you want to blame it on YouTube suppression and shadow banning and the haters and you know, woke liberal tech companies suppressing you. No, it's because you make shitty content. You're a pathological liar. You can't face any of your criticisms. You don't read comments because you're scared of them. And you're too much of a fucking pussy to take accountability for anything in your life. That is the core of all these issues. And you could have gone on the subreddit 5 years ago and been honest with them and actually get them on your side, but you're unwilling to do that, and that's the core of everything. So
I just dropped a poll in the chat. I asked if they're your team Mark or team Brendan. We're going to find out from the people right now what team they're on. I got another donation over here. They want to speak to you. This is Wildberry.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Couple questions for you, Marg. Have you tried Tiger whiskey? How does that sink smell? I heard Bopper is seasoning it well. Is Bopper gay? I feel like he has shown Brian his dick. He always tell him about dicks and shit.
Okay, a couple of questions in there. So, Tiger whiskey, what does it taste like?
I don't know. I think it tastes pretty good. I think the main, like, I don't have an issue with it. I'm also not a whiskey connoisseur.
I love some of the lies he sprinkles in here. I have no idea what note he passed to that girl on that live stream. I don't know what it said. I think he was asking her for work. And now, I don't know. I think Tiger whiskey tastes great. Come on, brother. Come on. Brendan's never going to be your friend again. Just tell the truth. It tastes like shit. We all know it does. That's why it hasn't sold. It tastes like fucking piss.
But, like, I think the main thing people have an issue with it who are into whiskey is that it costs too much. Like, the price point might be a little bit high.
No, they're also talking about it tasting like absolute dog shit. Whiskey reviewers on YouTube have said it tastes like shit. Like, people obviously complain about the price range. That, you know, I guess whiskey, like anything in life, the price range kind of dictates the quality level or kind of influences it in some way. So if your whiskey is shaped north for flipping $50, it should taste a certain way based on other whiskeys around that level that you can compare it to. And people have said it tastes like shit. Some YouTuber I remember watching said it tasted worse than Jameson. And Jameson is like, what, $20 or something? I know it's like £26 here in the UK for like a 700ml bottle or something. So it just tastes like shit. Again, these are little things that you get to see that, you know, he clearly still has love for the guy.
For the quality, but that's I don't like speaking on things that aren't my expertise. I'm not going to shit on it and say it's bad. I've drunk it many times. It's certainly good enough.
I'm not going to shit on it. It's not my expertise. I've drunk it many times. He's probably got some bottles in the kitchen, innit? He just ripped off the labels really angrily. What a loser. For
me, I think the only issue would be people maybe feel like it's overpriced, you know? But it's not like Brendan made it. Like, you know,
yeah.
It's like, I don't know what he does with it, but, you know, it's like, oh, I worked so hard to create this company. Did you? You came up with a concept and paid other people. So.
All right. And gay or no? Yes or no? What do you say?
I don't think he's gay. It just wouldn't, like, would it shock anybody in this fucking chat right now watching this live stream if you found definitive evidence that he fucks dudes? He's obsessed with penises and he's constantly snitching on himself in all aspects of his life. Like, okay. Take it for what it's worth. He won't shut up about cock.
Okay, fair enough. I'm going to try to, I don't want to keep you here all day. I appreciate your time. We got some more.
No, he'd be happy to be there all day. He's got nothing else to do. He'd be happy to be there all day. Let's just keep that all the way 100. BGL would be on that stream all day, biting this guy's ear off. He's pretty much probably said more words in this interview than that host has actually said, right? He's a content creator's dream. He's just going to come on and just start rambling and waffling all the way through. He's not. He doesn't want to keep him too long. He loves it. He's fucking loving every minute of it.
Donations, so we'll just do rapid fire answers to these donations, okay? How's that sound? Okay, here we go.
Super chat.
We got the Clipper coming back in.
Mark, are the shows super scripted like word for word?
Okay.
Wait, are the shows super scripted? Like, is Tfatk scripted? Is the Schaub show scripted? That implies that Brendan could read or memorize things. So good luck with that.
What is it like when he reads an ad, when he tries to belt out an ad?
I can't even be in the room because it's just like, first of all, like, because I do
see show notes for details.
Ad reads, like I do ad reads. I improvise all my ad reads, by the way. When I do one for Happy Hippo, I do one for Oak and Stone. I have a concept in my head, and I improvise it. And if I mess up a fucking word, I'm starting over. You know what I mean? Like because it doesn't take that long. You're doing a minute-long ad read max. Like, why don't you and it's on a piece of paper, like it's written for you, and you're stumbling over the words and mispronouncing things and backing. Like, it's like, as an actor, you know, who goes like, yeah, you should be able to cold read at minimum. You know, I've done auditions, like seeing text for the first time.
Hold on, did he call himself an actor? As an actor, you know what? I think I figured it. I think I figured BGL out. He's, you know what they say about the fucking the homeless cats. which is not true because we just discussed the podcast over there, and people just want to take the piss out of the show because it's funny to take the piss out of it because Brendan's a redact and shows shit, and some people are former fans on there. I think BGL is legitimately jealous. I think he's legitimately jealous, and his kind of criticism and his frustration and his annoyance at Brendan is kind of a mask for him thinking that he deserves what Brendan has because he feels like he's more talented. I think that's the issue. That's the main issue here, which is completely counter to what people say on the subreddit. The subreddit, there's no one on there really jealous of Brendan and his lifestyle. No one gives a fuck. We always say he makes a lot of money, but we all talk about how flipping, miserable he must be day to day because, who wants to live a life like that? Fair enough, he's driving a Ferrari, but he's got all of his peers, laughing behind his back. His empire's crumbling. Joe Rogan relationship isn't what it once was. His friends are being accused of being diddlers and rapists. It's not the best life in the world, but materialistically, if you care about that kind of stuff, I can understand why it could annoy you. But I get the feeling like a lot of people in that industry, in that scene, because comedians like, so especially Hollywood, it was kind of backbiting, but comedian world, podcasting world. My theory is BGO has been trying, like I said before, he's been trying to make it in Hollywood for a very long time. There's many bits of content out there of him, doing flipping, doing auditions and whatnot for certain parts. He's done some background and extra stuff here and there, hustling, doing the thing he needs to do in Hollywood to make it. And he hasn't necessarily made it. If anything, he's like a roided version of fucking Bryan Callen. He hasn't necessarily made it, and Brendan kind of gave him a new lease of life and kind of restored that faith and hope he maybe had in the industry. I don't know, whatever, what I'm getting at. But I also think he got too close to the fucking flame. He actually saw behind the scenes like this guy is a legit redact, and he kind of made him bitter, and it kind of made him angry that this guy's pulling up in a purple Porsche. He's got fancy trainers. He's flying all over the country playing comedy shows, and he's like, he's not good at what he does. He's not funny. BGL clearly thinks he's funny, which he isn't. He thinks he's an actor, which is an exaggeration to say the least. Right? Like, he clearly thinks he should have a podcasting empire or a podcast that's successful or more successful than Tfatk. That's what I think it is. I think this is a case of just pure jealousy. Like, legit. Like, he saw how the fucking sausage was made behind the scenes, and he's like, you know what? Why are my sausages selling? Why aren't there lines around the block for my shit? I make my stuff better than this guy. This guy's all hype and all fluff and no substance. That's the cause of this issue. He's actually jealous. He's legit. Come on, Johnny Doe, man. BJ is funnier. Okay, in what sense? That he can make a joke? Cool. Hey, Johnny, do you want to see a BGL fucking special? My friend Johnny, do you want to see a fucking 30-minute BGL special? Would you like to hear him make jokes about what? Fucking protein shakes and shit? Is that what you actually want to hear? Do you want to hear him talk about that? You want to hear him talk about how his feet aren't actually size 8s, they're actually size 10s? Like, is that what you want to hear? I don't. Sorry. That's a false choice. There is no choice there between Brendan Schaub and a BGL stand-up. They're both bad. Please.
Time or improvising that are like, to me, if I were a company that sponsored him, I'd be like, what the fuck is this? Why don't you do it right? And and send us that instead of this bullshit. Like, you look like a fucking 8th grader hooked on phonics student, so again, you're trying to sell something, like not sell that you're mentally handicapped. You're trying to sell a product. So
said the R word, pussy. Said the R word.
If I were the company, I'd be like, no, this is unacceptable.
Okay, there we go. We got a super chat from Lenny Torrance coming in.
What was the extent of Papa's help with Stephen Bonner and how much of it was exaggerated? Thanks for a great week at Chang's.
Well, I think if you're looking if you want to figure out how much, like to what degree, like Brendan's telling the truth, like this good starting point would be like, take whatever he said and then divide it by 10, like as like the most generous assessment of what probably happened, like if he says, I paid Ray Borg's child, like his kid's hospital bills. Okay. If that was $100,000, like, go, 10,000 would be the most that he'd ever do, and then it's probably something more like 2,000, right? And so whatever help he said he did with Stephen Bonner, he's just a guy who, like, I've seen multiple examples of this where he needs to claim that he helps people, that's the only way that he can get out this narrative that he's a good guy. And that's why there's clips of him being like, I'm a good guy. I'm a good guy. Well, because you're not. And then you do like probably do some charitable giving, but like you're doing it to try to milk this narrative that you're like really altruistic. He's one of the most selfish, greedy people I've ever fucking met. Like, you know, and that's serious, you know, like he's not a generous person. He'll if he's in the mood for it and he wants your mood to match his mood, as I've seen with many people who kind of have these narcissistic traits, it's like he's generous when he's in a fantastic mood or kind of manic or whatever, but like
BGL Jordan Peterson over here. All right, mate.
He has no principles. If he says he was going to do something and his mood changes to a different mood than what it was when he was promised something, then he'll just not do it and not feel like there's any tension, you know, ethically speaking, between those two things.
There you go. What we got here? We got
Super Chat.
the Clipper loves talking to you. Clipper coming back in.
Did he make up the bomb threat to his kid's school?
If Brendan said it, it's probably a lie. Like that's really the principle, you know, that you have to live by. It's like, at the time he told me, you know, I would have believed him, but literally like you just heard from a guy who said that I talked with him on the phone, screamed at him and hung up. Like, and that phone call never happened. I haven't talked to him in 3 months, you know, and I couldn't, or like, I haven't been on a phone call with him, and 3 months is just as far as I can think back. Like, it's probably even long enough that I've been on the phone with him, and here's a guy saying, I talked on the phone with Mark, and he screamed at me. Like, again, he swapped the characters. I did talk to Bryan Callen, he swapped that character out. So maybe he heard about a bomb threat somewhere else and decided that happened to his kids. Like, that would be a more likely scenario to me. He hears things, and then he swaps the characters to make it, like, self-aggrandizing, or make himself the victim, right? Like, and a lot of narcissists have this victim-bully complex where they're either, like, bullying people or they're the victim. And there's no in-between. There's no, like, principled behavior, you know, but he's the greatest victim you've ever met. Like everything is somebody else's fault, you know.
Damn, here we go. I mean, it's saying it all here. Hella Mark Harley. We got something else coming in here from this is
Super Chat.
Evil Devil Cuckoo Bot. What?
Mark, hello 100k karma on Reddit in a few days, Harley.
What? 100k karma. You ready? Incoming?
Yeah.
Hold on. It's Papa.
You remember that jam?
Oh my God, Papa's here.
I'm sorry, but this guy is fucking awful, man. Like, MMA-Holes, this whole channel is fucking giving me a fucking headache. Oh my God, man. Text-to-speech is already a lot interrupting the stream. It already kind of puts you off a little bit, but it's funny to hear, you know, this fucking computerized voice reading out the fucking super chats. But the tones and the things on top of it, it's like, oh my God.
I would never shit on anyone. It's not true. I'm just like Kim Jong-il. I never take a shit because I don't even have an asshole.
Wow, I didn't think
that's hilarious. You know, I mean, one of the funniest things too is there's all these clips of him online saying, I'd never shit on anybody. Like, I don't hate, like, I'm not a hater at all. Dude, and you can find examples of it online, but like privately, this dude shits on anybody, like anybody who's doing better than him or not doing better than him. But it's like, you know, he'll shit on guys like Josh Wolf, like who was there for him hardcore when Tfatk was in trouble. And he'll kind of like just privately dismiss him, like, yeah, man, he can't sell tickets, so he's not funny. Like, whatever it is, like, he has this way of being like, oh, he can't sell tickets. It's like, you can't sell tickets, motherfucker. You know, I've been at shows where there's 12 people in the audience. So the idea that, like, yeah, just that he's not a hater, like, he's so petty in private, you would believe it. But I'm just saying, it's like, you know.
You guys are the same people, though. You're made for each other, isn't it? This is just like, oh my God.
Just compared to what he claims outwardly, it's a complete contradiction.
Okay. We got
Super Chat.
The West coming in.
Hey guys, how's socials?
Yeah, he would ask that. I don't even know if it came across in the screenshots that I shared, but like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, my job, he's like, oh yeah, Mark was so shitty at his job. Oh really? Like, you know, when I was on call for you 24/7, like multiple times a day, how's socials, and you never know what he wanted either. Cause like, do you want like screenshots of like all the most recent posts? Like, but he's basically saying, hey, tell me positive things, tell me positive things, tell me positive things, tell me positive things, tell me positive things. You know, it's all about narcissistic supply for him.
I swear to God, man, I've had my fair share of shitty jobs, especially in the marketing, social media type of realm, and I've done a similar role to what BGL has done, but you know, not in a redacted way. But I've done a similar type of role where you're putting out content and shit for people. It's clear there's usually a lot of grifters and chances in those roles, mostly, especially if they're managers, because they feel like they have to justify their role and their salary because they don't do really much apart from managing you as a team. They may not know that much about social media things, so they kind of add these unnecessary and overinflated expectations and deadlines and whatever it may be called to kind of make themselves feel like they're actually doing something. It happens. But usually, in my experience, dickhead or not, the person you're working with, if you just pull them to one side or request a meeting to actually go down and your list of what deliverables and what sort of KPIs you need to be meeting and what they expect from you in certain things, it usually gets rid of all the necessary confusion and the vagueness that goes on with people that work in that field. All it takes is a conversation. And honestly, even if that doesn't work, I've never in my life complained about somebody that I worked for who I didn't like and just left or got fired from. It's not that big of a deal. It doesn't require like a week of analysis, like, oh, they did this, they did this. It's just that sometimes the personalities don't rub and don't work together. You just go your separate ways. So for me, like I said, I think a lot of this is really buried or is drenched or is based on a foundation of some level of jealousy, bitterness or entitlement on his side of things. And then having that person who you don't rate coming up and telling you and requesting things from you and not being clear about the things they need from you is obviously going to set him off. But I think at the basis of it, BGL thinks he deserves what Brendan has, you know, in terms of his materialistic life and whatnot and what's going on. That's basically at the heart of it, because I can't imagine anything more that would make me want to ramble about somebody that I used to work with who's my manager I didn't like. It's weird.
So, like, because it's like, hey, do you want me to tell you everyone's shitting on you in the comments? Like, of course not. So it's like basically saying, tell me something good about social media, you know, like I'm a thirsty 12-year-old girl. I don't have social media, but also like, you know, it's like I don't eat ice cream. I'm just having my assistant spoon feed it to me all hours of the day. Like when I don't eat it, it just happens to fall in my mouth when my assistant puts the spoon up to it and lets it slide off, you know.
There you go. Thank you, Turpy, for the membership. Right now, the poll has you 92%. With 400 plus votes over here, 8%, now 7% Brendan. So they are really team Mark in the chat.
Super chat.
I'd love to talk to those 7%. Like, what the fuck?
Enjoyed the interview, Mark. Schaub is not even funny. Oh, will you be in a future season of The Witcher?
They want you in The Witcher. Would you ever be the lead in?
Oh my God, man. I'm embarrassed to be associated with some of these people. You're trying to compare this fucking freak to Henry Cavill. All right, cool.
The Witcher?
Yeah, of course. And it's funny because that's like my mom will say stuff like, she's like, you need to take Jason Momoa's roles. You need to take Henry. It's like, I don't think that's how Hollywood works, Mark. It can't be, you know, Mom, I just can't be like, hey, tell Jason Momoa to step aside. There's a new guy in town, you know.
We got one from
Super chat.
Casey SHFL.
Hey, Mark. How damaging was the Gringo Poppy to SCHAUB'S reputation / views?
Well, first of all, it was damaging to his views because he bought several 100,000 views on the Gringo Poppy in order to reach 1 million. And that's real, man.
Is that true? Is that a fact?
That's 100% factual. Brendan Schaub bought, I'm guessing, like 300 to 400,000 views. Because remember, it was around like 600,000, and he wanted it to get like, it's seemingly his only goal, his only metric of success. And it even said that he's like, man, I'm going to kill myself if I don't get to, you know, 1 million views. His only metric of success wasn't about reception. And this is kind of like how he does life in general. Like he'll boil everything down to a number, right? And then get that number wrong, you know? And so when you're talking about like, you know, he'll fudge the number somehow, like, oh, I got 1 million views. You know, he's bragging, oh, it's almost at 2 million views. No, it's not. It's at 1.6 million views. And also, like, you know, 300,000 to 400,000 views are paid for. And you know what that does to your channel? I don't know if you know anything about the algorithm and how.
Okay, anyway, so this is not surprising. I think at the time that Gringo Pappy came out, I actually said a good metric of like how much Brendan's kind of star has dwindled will be how fast he does or doesn't get to 1 million views in that week. Because I think a lot of those guys in that kind of Joe Rogan Extended Universe who are dropping specials on YouTube, I heard a lot of them on their podcast say certain things like, hey, check out my specials on YouTube, like and subscribe. I want to hit 1 million in a week. So I think for whatever reason, the agents or just them as people decided 1 million in 7 days was the metric to judge how good a special did online. They all did it, so it's not just Brendan. They all did it. No one's really sitting there saying this is my best special, it's got the best jokes. Rarely a lot of them do that. They all talk about numbers because, you know, numbers unfortunately do benefit them because it's gonna, you know, add to your ads and your bookings and whatnot. Like, people don't really care about how funny it is or isn't. The issue Brendan has obviously is the fact that he bought them, and what makes it extra funny is that if you remember correctly, on that episode of the Schaub show where Chin surprises Brendan with that video of his friends basically congratulating him for uploading a special on YouTube, he starts crying and sobbing. If you remember, he's crying and sobbing. And if you're charitable and you're a Brendan fan, you'll say that is a touching moment because he's reflecting on the journey he's been on, all the ups and downs, all the haters, all the naysayers, and then seeing the sight of his closest and dearest friends and family congratulating him and supporting him through all the stuff he's been, it kind of made him emotional. But if you believe BGL and he bought 300,000 views, that means that whatever metric he got to wasn't legit, and any love and adoration he was getting off the back of that was coming off the back of him fudging the numbers. So the fact that he bought the views and was sobbing the way he did goes to show the guy's a fucking psychopath. Like, legit sociopath, legit psychopath, legit disturbed in the head, that he would buy views and then start sobbing on camera as if like those views were legit and he achieved them through grit, hard work and determination and hustling and going against everything and betting on himself and all that stuff, when really he fudged a lot of those numbers. He still would have got to 1 million. I still think so, because the hate and the intrigue and the whatever kind of go into it, but in the end, he kind of fudged to get to it sooner. And obviously, as he's going to say at the end now, it also negatively affected Brendan Schaub's channel, because when you buy loads of views in that way and it's artificial, it does something to the algorithm and kind of pops you out of it and kind of damages your channel in the long run. And obviously, in terms of engagement, it's not good either, because if you've got a channel that doesn't necessarily have the content or the engagement of a channel that should be getting 100 views, you'll see quite clearly somebody that buys the views based on the views amounts and the likes, compared to the likes, compared to the comments. So all that kind of goes into one.
Buying followers and views fucks you up, but it fucked his whole channel, because then the algorithm's like, wait, who's watching this? Like, you know, all these people from Pakistan and Eastern Europe or whatever, like, it doesn't give you any information about
Afghanistan,
who your real viewership is, and they don't watch any of your other stuff. So it's really like, that's what ends up suppressing your channel. So he made this huge mistake just to get to 1 million views so he could have this celebration and see it as like a fuck you to the haters that he got 1 million views. Oof. And like, you know, record numbers of downvotes. But you know, the thing, here's one little insight is he goes, man, I thought, you know, I thought I was going to do theaters after this. And like, I thought that was gonna like elevate me to the next level. Like, he was like really confused as to why the Gringo Papi didn't launch him to like doing theater tours. And it's like, okay, so like, why did you take that for granted? And
but that should be the most concerning thing about the guy, that lack of attachment to reality. But I've also said it before in my streams, I think that's one of the quintessential skills or ingredients you do need in some respects to make it in content creation online and stuff. You need to be a little bit delusional, and Brendan has it in, you know, he has probably too much of it, but you need that aspect of like not being tethered to reality in order to make it, because anyone that's actually tethered to reality who records the Gringo Papi, sees the reception and then wonders why they're not booking theaters, you would want to run into traffic and to wake yourself up. You know what I mean? You know why you're not booking theaters, but obviously this guy isn't tethered to reality, so he thinks that way. That's a concerning thing.
Agents, by the way, were like, it's not ready yet. Don't put out like don't even film it. That's what they said. Like, it wasn't like they looked at the special and said don't release it. They said your set isn't ready to film. Like, I think you should wait. And he's like, no, I'm not going to fucking wait. Like, I've been doing the same jokes for 3 years. And it's like, well, okay, been doing the same jokes for whatever, however long, but like, have they gotten any better? You know, have you looked at them? Have you watched a video of them? Have you added tags or punchlines to anything? Have you tightened it up? Have you taken out superfluous words? I don't think those things cross his mind. I've never.
He's talking like he knows what I'm going with about the business. Look, honestly, I've got a feeling he's just jealous that he's not Brendan. Honestly, I've got a feeling he feels like he should be Brendan Schaub. legit. He's talking like he knows anything. Like, let's see your stand-up, man. Let's see your bit. Let's see your 25-minute special. Come on. Upload it, BGL. This guy, man.
Never seen him actually review footage of his own stand-up other than to okay it for posting to social media.
Wow, that's pretty wild stuff. Oh, hold on. We got some boobies coming in.
Is he changing all the flipping animation and jingles every time? Or are they just rotating? What's going on here? Fucking hell, brother.
This is from Blockbuster. We got a song playing. Hey,
I can see your underwear. Put your boobies in the air. Flapping like I just don't care.
Fuck off, man. Shit stuff.
To share.
What is this shit, man? Can we stop this? Is this still going? I'm muting this shit. This dude rocks this horrible.
Show them tits.
Thank you.
Is it still going? What the fuck is this?
Show them breasts. Boobies.
We got a pervert cameraman donation coming in
Hey,
over
Mod.
here.
Nah. This guy's not legit. He can't be for real.
Homeless cats.
Well, I think everybody who's there, like, gets the humor. You know what I mean? Like, there's nobody there who's like, what? Like, it's crazy that people make fun of Brendan. It's crazy that anybody thinks he's arrogant.
Touche, cheese food. Touche. This is what UK rap sounds like to Americans. Okay, touche.
Crazy that anybody thinks he's a raging narcissist who lies about everything. Like, we all know he's erratic. They all know that he's unreliable. We all know that he flies by the seat of his pants. So even as a managerial style, it's just, you're dealing with a lot just from his erratic nature as a human being, which of course is in tension with like how he presents himself to the world as like, a polished, wealthy, professional entertainer. But now I understand that, like, if you're...
He said wealthy. He wants that money. He wants that Brendan Schaub shmoney. He's a little bit jealous.
If you're an on-camera guy, it's not always the easiest transition to be a manager, but he kind of bills himself that way. It's not like he's just a regular, like, look, I'm a comedian. I don't know much about managing. He's like, I went to school to study business. Like, you can't tell him shit about how to run a business. He's got it all figured out. In his mind, he's the big boss man, business guy. So like, this is part of his identity, is like how good he is at business and management and all these different things. But like, he relies on a few tactics, like, control by threats, by keeping people off guard, by pitting people against each other, by making things competitive when it doesn't need to be. Like, there's no real like long-term vision. There's not a lot of great communication. There's not a lot of encouragement almost at all. Like, I remember thinking before I got fired, I'm like,
oh, he didn't give me coach. What did Sal did a good job. Brendan didn't give me a pat on the back. He didn't give me a bisou on the top of my taint. Brendan Schaub don't give me no huggy. He no pay me. He no kissing me like he kiss Mexican. Bitch ass.
When was the last time I was even told good job about something?
Bleh.
So he never really was that supportive like that? Like, hey, man, you kicked ass this week? No, huh?
You're there arguing with him on fucking text messages and you want him to fucking give you supporting messaging. Come on, man.
Damn, man. I keep on hearing from people that he's like the nicest guy in the world. He's the most giving guy, this and that.
Yeah. I mean,
hey, big up my guy Ariel Hawani in the chat. Big up Ariel Hawani in the chat. Big up Ariel Hawani in the chat. Big up the legend. Big up.
But who? Like who? They've met for like 5 minutes. Like, you, like, again, okay. I'm saying this. I worked with him 7 days a week. Now, at first, maybe you do that because what do narcissists do? They love bomb people. So of course it's going to be like, the first Christmas I met him, he gave me $1,000 from, Christmas, or like he'd like give me things here and there and just kind of like, do a lot of future promising, where it's like, oh, you're going to be this and you're going to be that. But then like his actions just aren't in line with that because, again,
I'm sorry, man. Maybe I'm in the minority here, but I honestly think if somebody as reprehensible as a person as Brendan Schaub gives you £1,000, you have to always assume there is some sort of ulterior motive to it. You can't be that naive and that dumb, especially at your big age, especially living in LA and hustling as much as BGL has been hustling in the scene, to expect that £1,000 was just him doing it out of the kindness of your heart. He clearly was doing it as a way to kind of protect himself. Obviously, BGL was his plug for the addies and all the other stuff he was probably doing there on the side and whatnot. You have to expect there's some ulterior motive to attach to it. You have to. You can't be that naive and that dumb. Surely you cannot be. And also, a part of me thinks if somebody gives you £1,000 and they try and look after you, you just can't chat shit to them about it in person anymore. Hey, be tired, Durden.
Thank you for a great show. You the man.
Yeah.
Hey, told you he watches your show on Twitter.
Yes, big up Ariel. They got the original receipt. Oh, good one. Yeah, Ariel, it is 3 a.m. here, man. Do not remind me. It's 3:30 a.m. I have no life and I'm staying up here because, you know, why not bicker and moan and complain about this nonsense stuff instead of going to bed? Thank you so much for your support, my friend. I do appreciate you, Goy.
He undermined.
Yeah, like I said, just to end it, I think if I give somebody £1,000, or if I'm given £1,000 by somebody who I deem to be a mentor, is looking after, is guiding me through the industry, unfortunately, I rescind the right to publicly bash them. I know that sounds weird, but I just think in terms of classiness and professionalism, how to carry yourself in the industry, somebody looks after you in that way, you just have to shut up. You can't be about. There's people in my life who I generally don't like nowadays and I kind of fallen out with, but because of what they've done for me in the past and how that's affected and helped my career, I don't talk bad about them in public. Maybe privately I might say some things, but in public I would never say those things. In my opinion, I don't think that's right, and it kind of makes you look bad. So I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of this stuff for me personally. I know Brendan's got his ill parts. I always highlight them. I'm not gonna shy away from that, but I still think BGL is being a little bit he's not being appreciative of this relationship that he had at the time and what he gave him. But hey, what can you do? I felt like totally unnecessary, like to boost himself or whatever the motivation was behind that. But it was like, it almost like anytime he spoke about me or to me, you know, on Tfatk, especially, be like, oh my God, like let's do, 5 minutes on how gross it is when Mark eats or something like that. And it's always just kind of like, like I always would go like, imagine if I was doing this to you. It's impossible to picture because he'd get so defensive and sensitive about it while also calling me sensitive all the time. Like that was his favorite thing to be like, you can't be so sensitive. No, but you are sensitive though, BGO. You're ranting for an hour plus or 2 hours plus about fucking Brendan because he owed you a couple of bits of money. Like you're quite sensitive. And because he maybe insinuated your wife asks too much questions when you're watching fucking a UFC pay-per-view, you are pretty sensitive. Let's be fair. And argumentative. I'm like, are you describing yourself, bro?
It's very ironic. Yeah, we hear him say that all the time, and it does sound like he's the most sensitive out of anybody. It's kind of wild.
Oh, I mean, just imagine criticizing him for anything. Imagine like you don't do it because like that's why people why do they correct him more? Because he makes a fucking issue about it. Like you're gonna constantly correct this guy when he's getting facts wrong and pronouncing things. It gets old. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And also like it's boring. Like not boring, but it's annoying correcting a pathological liar, because it was like that's why people go away from you eventually. Like any pathological liar I've known. Aren't they the same person though? Didn't BGL say earlier on he didn't like to admit when he was wrong or something in that argument? And Brendan is the type of person you can't tell him something that he does wrong because he takes it really sensitively and gets upset about it. They're the same person. BGL was writing people fucking Bible scriptures, replying and defending Brendan, or defending himself and why he's working there and saying all this egregious stuff. Like they're the same person. Literally, they're two sides of the same coin, in my opinion. That's why they were so close and so friendly with each other. I don't understand how he's trying to paint it as if this is a completely different thing. It's so weird to me. I always just distance myself from them because like, unless they're talking about you, I don't really have a desire to correct them. You know what I mean? Because it's like, what am I, your fucking mom? Like I have to like correct you every time you're wrong. Like grow up and tell the truth, you idiot.
Well, listen, there are so many donations coming in over here. I would love to stay with you all night, but I mean, I don't want to keep you. I mean, we've been here for.
Stop saying that. He has nowhere else to go. He has nowhere else to go. He is unemployed. He doesn't have a job. He's just making it up as he goes along. He's been working in the industry for many years, never making it. Brendan Schaub gave him a chance, and he is running this fucking train until the ground. He has nowhere to be right now. Nowhere to be. He has a wife in the other room, yesing in him and clicking her fingers and saying yes, and the next room supporting her man and holding him down. He's vindicated in what he's doing here. He has nowhere else to be. You're not holding him, MMA-Holes. The MMA-Holes, you are not holding him. he has nowhere else to go. Trust me, he's loving every bit of this.
For an hour and 40, I'm having a pleasure talking to you over here, but I mean,
there's no rush on my end, you know.
All right, you want to hear the rest of these questions?
There's no rush. What's the fucking time in LA right now? Let's see. What's the time in LA? What is it? It's 7:30 on a fucking Thursday night. He's got no time to hang out with the wife and chill out, have some dinner, catch a couple of drinks. Nah, he's just gonna be chilling there the whole day. Bad mouthing fucking Brendan Schaub. He was a horrible boss. He didn't encourage me. He didn't give me pats on the back. He didn't put me in the omoplata.
Of course, bro.
All right, let's do it. Hey, we got Hella Mark Harley here. He's game. He's ready to go. Fire it in. We got a Kainoto donation coming in.
Wonderful.
Oh, these sounds are so fucking gay.
I just tuned in and saw this guy on the screen and thought, why is Christ on Trenbolone? Was that really Brendan's wife? Holy shit, not a single day in the gym was spent with that broad. She's ready for the liposuction Olympics.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Nah, fuck. Uche said, nah, fuck him. I don't want anything to. Uche, I don't want anything to do with these people. Zero. I'm not impressed. None of these guys impress me. I just find it really funny. To be honest, I treat this stuff like the Kardashians. This is my male version of the Kardashians, a straight version of a Kardashian without all the unnecessary drama. I'm not saying straight as in like, you know, toxic masculinity straight, but just like, you know, what guys would be into if they were into fucking reality TV. This is what it is for me. But I'm not impressed by any of these people. I'm not fans of them as people. I don't like what they do. I just find it funny how they kind of navigate through the world. And I feel like there's a lot of lessons that can be gleaned and learned from how they navigate, how they talk about each other, especially as a man, right? They kind of, I look and think, rah, there's certain things that I do in my life that I think are similar, that I can see wrong in what they do, and I try and correct them through what they do, blah, 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 blah. But in terms of wanting to talk to them, what am I talking to BGL about? Like, really? I've got my opinion about how he acts. He's got his opinion about how he acts. It is what it is. We're not gonna get anywhere in this conversation. And I fundamentally don't give a fuck. It's funny to laugh about, but it doesn't go any further than this. It's just, it is what it is, isn't it? It's just, I don't know. If anything, BGL shouldn't be coming on my show. He should be setting up his own YouTube channel. BGL shouldn't be wasting. You know what? Actually, BGL shouldn't be on the fucking MMA-Holes. He shouldn't be trying to come on the random show. He shouldn't be going on anyone's podcast, Uniques, whoever, like fucking Two Ladies Just Try. BGL should actually be setting up his YouTube channel. That's what he should be doing. BGL should have set up his YouTube channel and should have said, I'm going to drop an exclusive tell-all stream about Brendan and how much of a cunt he is, how much I hate him. And he should have sat there and said, I'm not going to stream until I get to 1,000 subscribers. And then by the time he got to 1,000 subscribers, he should have slapped on that live and sat there for 4 hours plus ranting over about Brendan and getting all the engagement that he wanted. But instead, he gave all the flipping views and engagement to other people on other platforms. And now the juice is gone. What more do you want to hear from BGL about this story? It's getting old already. Brendan wasn't a good boss. He treated me like shit. He's a liar. Okay, we already know that. What next? So, if anything, he shouldn't be coming on these things. He should be doing his own platform. But again, these people just love the attention. Any attention is good attention. So, clearly, you know, he probably wouldn't, you know, he probably would be down for it, but I don't care, personally. Don't give a fuck.
Hey, I don't know. Like, see, that kind of stuff, like, you know, you had me at Christ on Trenbolone, but I'm not into body shaming women, to be honest.
She has 2 kids. How do you go to
I know, like, yeah, dude, she's in her 30s and had 2 kids, man. I think she deserves all the credit in the world, to be honest.
Yeah, that's one of our interesting viewers. Over, thank you, Kainoto. Appreciate that.
No, I get it. Like, I get like guys do that and stuff like that. It's
Wonderful.
Hey, I don't subscribe to it.
No,
yes, Queen BGL. Yes, Queen.
I don't blame
There's
you.
a funny story about how stupid Brendan is. He was arguing with a journalist about whether or not giraffe had the letter D in it. He thought giraffe was spelled giraffe. True story. He's a moron. This is a true story.
He told this on King of the Sting. I saw the clip recently, and it's like, it's one of these things. Now, I saw something live that was like similar to this, where like 2 months ago, he revealed to us that he thought New England was a state or something like that. like he's like, yeah, the New England Patriots. What's New England? And we're like, it's a collection of states. It's like a region, you know, like you would say, you know, the Midwest or something, or not. I mean, I guess it's more formal than that, but like, like I would describe it as a region. He didn't and he went around the room. He's like, Chin, did you know that? Casey, did you know that? Mark, did you know that? And we're like, yes, of course we knew that New England isn't a state, like,
yeah.
And this is another one where it's like, you were in your 20s.
Well, New England is a state. New England is a state. I think you're getting it mixed up over here. You're saying like Boston, you're talking about like within New England being its own.
I'm saying New England is a region. It's a collection of states.
Yeah.
It's not a state. It's a collection of states.
I know. I'm just trying to throw you off here. I'm just trying to see if I can get you. I'm just trying to set a little trap. Nothing. Okay.
Exactly.
Who said they thought BGL was funnier than Brendan? This is what you call funny, yeah? This is the content that you want. You want to hear a 24-minute special from BGL talking about fucking New Hampshire or New England being a fucking state and not a collection of cities or a region and some shit. This is what you want to hear. This is what you want to hear? Okay, you deserve it, man.
You're like actually, Brendan was right. You're a fucking idiot.
All right. I'm just making sure. All right, so listen, I gotta throw some tests out there just in case. You never know. We got Jeremy Stutz.
Mark, would you work with Ariel Helwani?
Would you work with Ariel Helwani?
Yeah, because at minimum he seems like, and again, you have
Ariel. He's talking about you.
We had some negative experiences, like, and other people maybe have had, but like, to me, the big like green flag when I look at that guy is at least he communicates properly. You know what I mean? I would assume even if there were issues with working with him, which I don't know, I haven't gotten into detail with anybody about what the particular issues were working alongside him, but
don't you find it funny that BGL knows everything about some things and then some things he knows nothing about? No particulars, don't want to get inside. Like, come on, man, you're full of fucking shit. You are.
At least he seems like somebody who could take accountability, even if maybe he could be mean or overly direct. And maybe that's something you want to tell me more about, like what was sort of the broad category of the issues you had with him. But like, at least he's an effective communicator, because that's really what it comes down to.
Oh, the MMA-Holes doesn't like Ariel either, innit? We got a couple of 1-2 Ariel haters here, innit? In BGL and MMA-Holes. Fucking hell.
When I'd butt heads with Brendan, and like we'd have these disagreements. I'm like, we're not even on the same page, communicating. Like we're just talking past each other, because I'm going out of my way to be really clear, precise, and as concise as possible, and he likes to kind of deflect and shift the goalpost and use all these sort of bad faith tactics.
On my life, I swear to God, BJ was doing the same thing 6 months ago with the homeless cats. I swear to God, he's doing the same thing.
So,
okay, there you go. We got something else coming in here from lyrics of best songs.
How often did Brenda pick?
So essentially, BGL said he would, of course, jump at the opportunity to work or to speak with flipping Ariel, because guess what? He loves the fucking attention. Even though Ariel flipping, what did Ariel say about BGL? Oh, he called him BGL, right, on the flipping drone strike. So that's what he said about him. I don't think he said, what did he say about Chin? The guy there with the papers, right? Or with something that was fucking epic. But I don't think he was too harsh to BGL. I think he just said he called him BGL. No, he called him Mufasa. That's it, innit? Didn't he say Mufasa? That Mufasa looking ass. So this shows you the LA guys how lacking in integrity and flipping pride and honor or whatever else that they have. Somebody insulted you in that way, right? Made a laughing stock of you, and you're okay to fucking talk to him on his stream, because guess what? He's one of the most popular fucking voices in content generation out there. So clearly, you're going to get some rub from it. So you're willing to fucking tuck your nuts into your, derriere to kind of get the opportunity. It says everything about it overall, but it also goes to say a lot about him, because he knows Brendan hates Ariel. So to go on Ariel's show is definitely another flipping indication of him saying, fuck you, dad, you didn't support me, daddy, you weren't there for me and whatever, just trying to stick it to Brendan. But yeah, bloody hell, man. Like I said before, who needs enemies when you have friends like BGL?
Piss in the sink.
Did multiple times a day.
He did piss in the sink.
Oh, multiple times a day. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, like this, it was weird. Like it didn't. I think a lot of other people had a more visceral reaction to it. So, only, you know, like the creative director, Mike Nell, who's a great guy. You know,
great guy, never met him.
And great guy, never met him.
Hey,
he was the one who, like, you know, and he's really direct too. Mike's a really great communicator, and I liked working with him as I like working with everybody.
My nigga, have you ever referred to a friend or someone you work with and said they're a great communicator? Have you ever said that? In my life, I don't think I've uttered that phrase. Oh, you're a really good communicator. What's wrong with these people? Why do they talk like this? He's a really great communicator. Actually, he's got 2 of the 7 traits that I really look like, and when I'm working with a colleague, like, what is this about? Like, who talks like this about people they work with or friends or whatever it may be? Great communicator. Excuse me?
Because at Thiccc Boy, because they're all good dudes. Mike was a really good communicator, and he was able to communicate directly with Brendan, and that's what would create tension, because he would say things like, you know, here's how you're failing me as a boss, or whatever, or just like, hey man, if you're gonna criticize me, like, you know, he's gonna speak his mind, and you should be able to do that when you're kind of like, you know, the next in line as far as the power structure. You should be able to communicate openly, and especially if you're, you know, in charge of strategy and stuff like that. So he communicated with him, hey man, this really bothers me. You know what I mean? Like, this really bothers me that you piss in the sink. Everybody else goes into the hallway and goes to the bathroom. Like, you're pissing in the sink. That's not like a sink in the bathroom. It's a sink in the middle of the studio, like right next to all these glasses and that everybody uses. It's like next to the refrigerator. So like any splash down is going to be like on utensils and shit, you know? Mm-hmm. So he perceived it as being very rude, and Brendan agreed to not piss and then kept doing it, you know? So.
Well, listen.
That piss thing is nasty as fuck. I saw BGL talk about it on a subreddit. It's so disgusting, because I've done the whole weeing in the fucking sink, you know, here and there, especially if you're living in a house where you don't have many bathrooms, like most of the houses, especially I lived in, especially back in my mum's house, you just have one bathroom and there's like 5 of you in a house. You kind of have to share bathrooms, and sometimes it'll be occupied and you need to go. So you either go in the garden or you might piss in the sink from time to time. But it's not necessarily, but you're obviously doing it in a way to be precise. You're not trying to splash back. You obviously clean it with bleach afterwards. But it's an emergency only thing. It's only used in emergencies. But the fact that this guy is doing it in his adult age, like preferring to piss in the sink, is disgusting. And I also thought about it when I was thinking about the whole piss sink thing, and I read it on the subreddit earlier. It would make more sense if, like, have you lived in those places, or sometimes you live in like in an apartment? I've seen those kind of studio flats that exist where they have like a standalone flat. It's like one room with like a bed and a kitchenette, but the sink is like separate for some reason. It's not attached to the like hob or where the fucking oven would be. It's like a separate standalone thing, right? Sometimes I can maybe understand that. It's not really excusable, but I can in my head picture, okay, imagine if that sink in their studio is closer to the set than the toilet is. So if you get up from the set and you walk to the toilet, the sink is first thing you see before you see the toilet. So I can understand maybe if you're super lazy, preferring to piss in that to get to the toilet. But from what I understand about the fucking, you know, layout of that studio, the toilet isn't too far from the sink. It's like around the corner. Like, you just have to like walk out the door, turn a right, and that's the toilet. So, and also the fucking sink is actually part of the, you know, the little kitchenette thing they got in that studio. So it's actually, like you said, like we just said, it's next to the plates that they use, the cups and stuff, the utensils, people's Tupperwares and shit. And he's just pissing all over it. And you imagine, he's not the kind of guy that's aiming at the bottom of the flipping, you know, sink basin to hit it. He's probably splashing his piss all over the top of it, like he's fucking spraying some girl at fucking, you know, spring break or something with champagne. You know that's what he's doing. He's leaking all of his fucking Brendan apple juice all over fucking somebody's, you know, Tupperware and whatnot, and the flipping forks. And you'd imagine also in that kind of studio with so many men and not enough women, right? So it's not, you know, there's obviously cleaners that come there, but you imagine a studio full of dudes, it already probably smells crazy in there anyway on a daily basis. You know, people leaving their cups, their pizza boxes, their socks and shit, their sweaty gym clothes. So imagine on top of all that boy man smell with no woman to add like a little nice sparkle thing or whatever it may be called, on top of that, imagine the dry urine, that's fucking building up on the walls of that sink basin at fucking Thiccc Boy production studio headquarters HQ. Imagine the whiff and the flipping stench that must be radiating out of that room. Add to it all the pouches of nicotine that are littered underneath Brendan's fucking chair, right? Add to that fucking the stench of Bryan Callen's fucking blood diamond sandals feet, like, you know, wafting in the air. Add to that just the uncertainty of the future. Add to that fucking Chin's horrible tinned meat fucking tacos and processed fucking avocado and guacamole that he's making for lunch or taking to him to the fucking studio. Add to that the stench of whenever he uncorks that horrible tiger piss, tiger cum whiskey that's on the table, right? Add to that the fermented cups of fucking 7-shot espresso coffees that this man uses as a form of liquid cocaine to keep him going to record podcasts, as opposed to actually drinking real water and actually sleeping for 8 hours a day and actually reading over his lines correctly. Add to that the stench of fucking desperation of them trying to make it in an everyday thing. Add to that the stench of the food that they order for fucking, what's it called, Food Truck Diaries on an added basis. Add to that the fucking kratom that's already ingested there, big up Craig Dobbin, and then you add to that the fucking stench of the splashback of that urine. Just imagine what it must smell like in there. It must smell so hot. It must smell so hot. It must smell like 6 p.m. It must smell like 7 p.m. It must smell like 8 p.m. at your local fucking YMCA changing room. You know when you sometimes go to a local changing room of a leisure center or a gym and you open the lockers and somebody left their wet shorts, their wet Under Armour undershirt in there that's been sweated in, they forgot it in there, or their wet gym socks, and you open it and you get that fermented man waft hitting your face. That's what it must smell like, on top of the fucking piss that's fucking permeating over that whole entire sink basin. Just imagine that on a daily basis, you have to hear that guy like splashing that shit in the background. Just imagine what that must sound like. Just imagine the sound of this. Just imagine this. Hear this sound. Hear this sound. Can you hear that? That's what it must sound like when it's leaking. That's what it must sound like. That's what it must sound like on a daily basis. On a daily basis. Just imagine. Just imagine what that must sound like. Just imagine for a second how hot it must be in there. Just imagine. Just fucking imagine. Holy shit. Anyway, let's continue with this shit. Let's continue.
Listen, this is pretty wild. Listening to all these stories over here and things that you are saying is true. It's almost like the Fighter and the Kid subreddit is coming to life right now. It's like blowing my mind how you're saying that these things are true. Now, I just want to make this very clear to the audience over here. This is coming from Hella Mark Harley.
We know you fucking read that. It's kind of sounding like the subreddit is coming to life right now. Like, come on, man. Don't be so lame. Enjoy the shit show, but don't fucking add to the levels of corniness here.
This is his side of the story over here. We don't have both sides of the story, but this is his side. Very convincing. Very convincing.
And also, like, look, here's what I'm going to throw out there. Brendan, go live with me on any podcast. Go live with me.
He's so desperate. The desperation. Oh. Go live with me, bro. Go live with me. Any place, anytime. I'll be there. Go live with me, bro. Like, fucking hell. Oh, these guys deserve each other, man. What?
Go live with me, and we can air it out, and we can bring our evidence, and we can discuss these things that you're claiming. So I'm going to challenge you to do that, knowing that
What are they arguing about if they go live with him? No one's like, what is this argument? You put out all this business about him. He hasn't said nothing. He just fired you because you didn't reply to his text messages and you didn't do the work he wanted in the time that he wanted it. It's not that big of a deal. There's no debate here, really. I don't understand what's happening here. You might not like the guy, but what's he answering to? Like an argument that you set up and you invented in your head.
You can't do that because you're an egomaniac who's been lying about the entire situation. So of course you won't fucking go live with me. Everything you said, beforehand, as far as your side of the story, was in fact a complete mischaracterization at best and an outright lie at worst. If you believe that there's something more to the story, go live with me. If you believe that the evidence that I just provided, one of the pieces to show that you were lying about basic elements of the story, like timeline, you said it was 8 hours and really it was 4. I provided evidence from my phone.
Ooh, what a big fucking revelation that is, isn't it? He set that one straight in it. He told Brendan, he probably can't sleep at night now. It was actually 4 hours. Ha, got ya. Fucking hell.
So unless I had that all queued up, ready to go, because I knew the questions in advance, it would be impossible for me to make that up. But if you feel like I did, if you feel like I lied here or I fudged any evidence, let's go on a podcast together with a neutral arbitrator, somebody who will give us each time to speak and each time to present our evidence. And I am 100% confident that you will look like a fucking idiot because you lie about everything, including every single thing that you told the host of this podcast before we went live.
So I was actually going to try to pull that off. Actually, that was the move I was going to try to make, and there was a decline. Yeah, apparently he does not do media. That's what I got.
Right, he doesn't do media. He just says 18.
I love when Brendan big times people like that. It's so hilarious. I don't do media. He tries to like copy like Joe Rogan's thing of like Joe Rogan doesn't do interviews, and really. He tends to kind of prefer having people on his own show if he is going to do podcasts, or maybe you help out some people here and there, but he doesn't really like to be like a guest on shows for the most part. And Brendan just absorbs part of Joe Rogan's personalities that he likes, that makes him look like a big dog, but not the kind of inquisitive and curious and like self-deprecating side of Joe Rogan or whatever it may be, right? Or open to criticism side of things. Because, Joe Rogan's got his faults, but he's not somebody you can't kind of push back and talk to in some way or criticize. You might respond badly to it, but you can still do it. Brendan, you can't. But I love that Brendan kind of absorbs that part of Joe Rogan's personality where he says he doesn't do interviews. But then he actually does do interviews. He just only does ones that he feels like are not going to ambush him or try and make him look dumb or bring up drama and stuff. That's what he doesn't like, of course. So that's what clearly he didn't want to do that. But the fact that this guy reached out to him and said that is hilarious, and he got a fucking big timed I don't do media is hilarious.
Podcasts a week.
Yeah.
Doesn't do media. Hires a PR campaign. Doesn't do media. Does a bunch of other people's podcasts that you may know. Like I can think of a number off the top of my head. He did Rick Glassman's podcast. He did the garbage podcast, whatever, like Are You Garbage podcast. He did Kim Congdon's podcast. He did one.
To be fair though, like comparing Are You Garbage and all those guys to the MMA-Holes is a little bit, Brendan can be a piece of shit, but let's be fair to him. Why would you go on this podcast if you can go on Rick Glassman's? Let's be real.
Recent, he's always doing other people's podcasts.
Personally, I think you should go on every podcast that invites you. Personally, I don't think, especially if you're a comedian, there's no amount of fans. If I was a stand-up comedian, I'd go on every show because I want to get all the fans. I want everybody to know about me as a comedian and want to kind of see me perform live and be a fan of mine and follow me around the country or around the world. So I'd go on everybody's shows. But I understand if you're Brendan and you care about metrics and you care about how you look and whatnot, to pick and choose where you go because, it's a narrative game. It's a media game. You have to spin it in your favor, and it is what it is.
Podcast. What are you talking about? He doesn't do media. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Well, Brendan, if you are watching or if anyone that you know is watching this stream over here, I'd like to throw my name in the hat. I would be completely unbiased. I would leave the homeless cats at home, and I would say, let's do this. Let's put this together. Let me know in the chat if you'd like to see this. I think this should happen because, listen, we are only getting one side of the story. That is the truth, but you are willing to do this live, and if he's not willing, that doesn't look very good.
Surely as an employee, you don't have to get on live streams and explain why you fired somebody. I know in the content generation game it's different. On people podcasts get fired and stuff and you build a connection with them, it's all well and good. But BGL was like a side character. He was a behind the scenes guy. He did like the social media for Brendan. Why would he want to explain why he fired him? It would be different if it was like a Chappelle and Malik, those ones at the time. Maybe if he went on a show, that would have been good to get some explanation back, because those guys were, you know, attached to the show and they were hosts on it and stuff, and they were front facing in front of the camera, cool. But BGL was essentially an assistant, a glorified social media manager. Like, why should he be explaining himself on the podcast as to why he fired him? He could just decided he wanted to get rid of him because he just changed his mind, and it should be reason enough. If anything, BGL's trying to use this as an opportunity to gain more, because if Brendan talks, then that means he has to talk, and then it keeps going back, and then he kind of earned himself another week of fucking running this flipping shit into the ground.
Good, right?
And also, I want to applaud you too with even like, because look, I'm wary of going on these shows and just being like, you know, here's my side of the story. Like, it looks like I'm complaining or whatever, or like of course it's.
You're worried about complaining, and you've been sat on this podcast for 2 hours and a half, 2 hours plus, crying, complaining that Brendan didn't give you words of encouragement. It's too late for that, brother.
Built in, like, you could be exploiting this just to like allow me to say the most salacious things possible if that was my agenda to get views and make headlines. But you did your due diligence as, you know, a journalist in this field, and you actually went out and solicited their side of the story, and you fielded it to me in real time, which I think you should be able to do, you know, like, and if I'm agreeing to this interview, I don't think that's out of bounds whatsoever. And I invite that because, you know, I think if you're telling the truth, you should be able to think on the fly, because your story should say the same, and it shouldn't line up with somebody who's telling, you know, the opposite of that. And, you know, so I applaud you for not just turning this into like, you know, team me up to say the most salacious things. You did it.
Before he sucks this guy off, if you're tuning in and you've enjoyed this stream so far, make sure you smash that like for me. Do me a favor and smash the like for your boy. If you didn't enjoy it, then also dislike. It doesn't matter. All engagement is encouraged here. I did say engagement like gay, and I meant that. So to make me happy, smash that like, please.
In fact, you know, you were willing to contradict things I've said, and to me that speaks to your desire to be neutral in the situation. So
I appreciate it. And like I said, I do have people that I am connected with that are friendly with Brendan. I don't know Brendan. If I knew Brendan, I can give my actual opinion. I've gave my opinion on the Gringo PAPI. That was easy to do. But with this,
so we're hypothesizing that the friend that he's talking about is probably Jesse on Fire. Is that what we're thinking? That guy that looks like he's fucking either been doing 7 million lines every single day, full of addies, kratom and coffee, or maybe more. I'm assuming that's probably his source, right? And he probably like shaking, yeah, we can help Brendan. So maybe it's Jesse on Fire, that's his source. I'd imagine so.
This whole situation, like I said, we're just getting your side over here, and I got to be honest with you, like, I am leaning towards your side because this is the only side we're hearing. You know, I mean, there's really nothing else we can go by other than a
unbiased journalist, allegedly, quote unquote, is now telling the guest that he agrees with his side. Yeah, man. Keep winning, brother.
Reddit that is just very unhappy with Brendan.
Yeah. But also, like, I still haven't put out all the evidence I have. Like, not that there's any like bombshells of like you know, I showed you on my phone, like maybe some of the stuff I haven't really reviewed it in terms of like what the claims are, but like, you know, I already know, like, it's like, you know, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about, the 6 months of, you know, clips not being to like, again, to me, that should just be like inherently like a ridiculous claim, because why would you like be paying somebody for 6 months of work that they never did, and you're like the boss? Like, what does that say about you? But like, also, he didn't name anything. So all these things, like, I think you can sort of inherently tell there's a lot of issues with the story, you know, but yeah, again, like, I'm calling you a pathological liar, Brendan. Like, if you care enough about your reputation to pass on this information through somebody else, I think you care enough to rebut it, right? Because this makes you look really fucking bad.
There you go.
You know, and none of this was said privately to me ever. Like, you could have emailed me, you could have texted me. I only blocked you after you sent me this ridiculous fucking like, I did text, and I put these text exchanges.
Another thing, blocking people is gay as well. I never block anyone. I don't care. Like, just stop talking to them. It's not that deep. He's a former boss also, and he owes you money. Why are you blocking him for? Like, what is this weird, passive aggressive, you know, thing that you're doing where you're pressing the button on your fucking phone thinking you're doing something, that will shut him up. It's like, just get your money, sort your business out, and then move on from there. Blocking people that you work with before because they don't speak to you the way you want. I don't know. I just find it super bizarre, personally, for me. But I don't block anybody. Blocking is weird.
Is online where he's like, after I went on Red Bar, he's like, you should be proud of yourself. And I go, you should be proud of yourself too, dude. And he's like, you were my friend. Like, he goes, why would you do that on a podcast? I'm like, dude. Like,
wait, hold on a second. He said he sent you a message after you did Red Bar?
He did. Yeah, I'll read it out loud now.
Jesus Christ, man. What's he gonna do in LA? Like, do you remember when they said, do you remember like, yeah, let's just put this out there. Do you remember there was some people in the scene connected to the JRE Extended Universe who were saying that KHALYLA and Annie Lederman were essentially blacklisting themselves from stand-up because of what they said about Brendan and obviously, what's his name? Brendan and Callen to a certain extent, right? That it's going to cause them issues in the scene because they kind of exposed them and people wouldn't want to work with them because it's going to put people in awkward positions or whatnot. Cool. I think it's stupid because essentially they're sharing their experience to those guys and they should feel free and they should feel at ease to share it without fearing that they're going to lose their careers because they're outing fucking creeps or they're talking about experiences that they didn't like. It's not that big of a deal. Guys are creepy every single day. It happens. You chalk it up to the game, you keep it moving. If it's not actually your character, but if you're fucking fighting against it that way, clearly it shows that you got some other credentials to hide. So at that moment they said that. All right, cool. If that's the case, what about BGL? What about BGL? He's getting on podcasts, going on a podcast tour, airing all of Brendan's dirty laundry, exposing things behind the scenes that, again, I said it before that I know most of it because I'm balls deep in the fucking homeless cats and the Tfatk subreddit. I'm in there. I'm a homeless cat. I'm in the kitchen, you know, cooking up some fucking orange chicken and shit. Fair enough. But to the everyday person who just watches this stuff on YouTube, you probably don't know some of the inner goings on and the background lore and all this sort of stuff. But he's confirming and reaffirming loads of stuff that general people don't know, airing all the business out there. Surely this isn't going to be good for his career either, you would imagine. If that's the case, if we're saying Annie Lederman and KHALYLA might get blacklisted for airing out Brendan and Bryan, and to a certain extent Chris, then what's this going to do for BGL's career? Is this really going to help him in the long run? Like, for all intents and purposes, again, I'm not a fan of the guy or any of the people involved, but just for his career prospects, because what else is he going to do? He's tasted the juicy dopamine hits of these streams and the engagement he's been getting on Reddit. I'm assuming his DMs must be blowing up, people asking him about gossip about this and that and this and that and that. He's kind of tasted the sweet, sweet nectar of those dopamine hits. He's not going to go and work a regular job in Target. He's not going to get a fucking PT job at a gym somewhere. He wants to be this guy in media. That's what he wants now. So he can't go backwards. So he's going to try and keep this thing going. But how much more can he give up information over time? And who's going to want to work with him in that industry? That's the issue he has at hand, really. It's a very weird tactic, I think. And again, this is all done not on his platform. This is all done on somebody else's channels and stuff. So it's not even like he's monetarily fucking gaining from it. Like, he's not getting any AdSense from this, no donations, no followers, no upvotes, no, likes, no comments, no subscribers, like zero. He's just getting like, this shit. Weird.
Here we go.
Hold on, let me zoom in on this. Here we go.
Why does he like holding up? Why is he holding up an iPhone phone to a webcam to read out the text? Just read it out. No one's going to be able to see all the words out. Just read it. We know you got a text from him. We know you're not lying. Just read the text.
A lot of cats have already seen this, but I'm gonna try to.
Just make sure you don't show any numbers.
Oh yeah. So the first.
Can you imagine if Brendan Schaub's mobile number got out there? Holy shit!
This one is, hey brother, I don't like the way things went down between us. You're a great friend to me. Working together makes it fucking tough. No, it doesn't. Like, you know, working with you makes it tough, but like, again, I worked my ass off for this dude. Anyway, the drama part of it starts where he goes, "You should be proud of yourself." That's sarcastic, by the way. I don't know if a lot of people got that when I posted it. And I go, "Yeah, so should you, dude. Thumbs up." He goes, "You were my friend, man." And I go, "You weren't my friend." And I say that because, yeah, you were my friend at some point, but then you started acting like a fucking asshole and undermining me at every turn and talking shit about me, you know, behind my back and just generally exploiting me. So he goes, "Maybe I didn't handle certain things always right as a boss, but to go on a podcast for what?" Which is a stupid question to ask because, like, you would go on podcasts and talk shit about me when we were friends, right? So it's like, okay, so you can air out, you know.
This guy's a fucking loser, man. Uche, I don't, honestly, darling, no, I don't agree. I think she says that not BGL pretending like he's one of us. I blame the sub for dick riding. I don't blame the sub, honestly, Uche. I don't blame the sub. Think about it, right? This entire time we've been laughing and giggling at Brendan Schaub and flipping the Fire and the Kid drama. For the most part, we've not really had anybody really confirm or clear up or ascertain or give insight into anything going on behind the scenes. Nobody. Not even Malik, who got fired in a really unceremonious type of way. No one's come out really and said anything. And especially when you add it to the fact that Brendan is fucking Joe Rogan's guy, everyone was scared to say anything, and that's attached to the community scene because they don't want to mess up the opportunities of trying to get onto the fucking Joe Rogan experience. So, you know, everyone kind of was mute on it. Obviously, Brendan kind of fucked it himself when he did the whole Bobby Lee thing, the Annie thing. It kind of exposed him, and obviously then Gringo PAPI came out and it was just too shit and too bad to ignore. So this is the first time somebody from the inner circle of Tfatk, Thiccc Boy Production Studio, Hollywood Picture, Movie Max Industries has come out and said something. So I don't blame the homeless cats for fucking feasting and fighting over the scraps that he's fucking leaving all over the fucking kitchen. I don't blame them for absolutely gorging at his plate because it's the only time we've actually gained insight into it. But if you really deep it and you really analyze it for real and you look at it, he hasn't really revealed things that we don't really know about. It's not a surprise, anything he said. I think if you've really been paying attention, you would have kind of guessed a lot of it. So I don't really blame the homeless cats for fucking sucking him off too much. If anything, I just feel bad for the guy because he's mistaken them sucking him off in this moment because he's given them information that they want for them being fans of what he does. None of those guys are going to follow him on his podcast. They're not going to pay attention to the stuff that he does. They're going to get bored of him rather quickly when he reverts back to who he actually is. And, you know, his personality is kind of attached or detached from Brendan. So I think the sad thing is that he's mistaking this intrigue and this fascination with how Brendan is behind the scenes with actually people caring about him. That's what he's mistaking it for. And, you know, let's see what happens anyway. Maybe he might turn around and prove me wrong, but I think, you know, it's going to end up being what it's going to end up being.
Your frustrations with me talking too much over the weekend and, you know, my wife that you just met and you're shitting all over her, but like I go on a podcast to speak about my experience in a matter-of-fact manner. And that,
to be fair, the thing that cringed me out, and I knew I wasn't tapped in, because I knew, I've always, you know, there's no collective hive mind when it comes to this sort of shit. Everyone's got their own opinions, but I knew I was kind of away from everybody when I was getting downvoted, posting that I didn't, you know, find any of this stuff, you know, funny. If anything, I think in general it kind of made Mark look bad that, you know, he had one bad falling out with Brendan as a boss and he completely went and fucking exposed all of his business out there. It's fucking obscene. But it also kind of made me, you know, throw up in my mouth a little bit when I saw they changed the fucking subreddit picture to a picture of BGL's face. So after Uche said so, after all those times of going out of their way to blur his face and deleting posts of people posting his actual face without it being blurred out, to then changing the fucking icon image of the subreddit to BGL's face, I was like, oh, okay, I'm not like all these guys. But it is what it is. It is what it is. You know, we're not all, you know, we don't all think alike. But that for me, I wasn't down with.
That's an issue. I said, hey, you treat people like shit across the board. He says, that's not true. LOL. I say, hey, dude. And then he says, it's all good. Wish you the best. I go, you realize you're going around the country telling people I send shitty dick pics, right?
Exactly. I think Eve said the best thing here. I still find it entertaining enough to help pass time at work. Fuck this being my actual life though. Exactly. This is entertaining enough as it is. I say already, this is like, and I guess not gendered, it's more so just to kind of describe it. It's not like a gender thing because I know there's women and stuff watching this stuff. But I just think this is like the male version of Kardashians. It's just what it is. There's no need to write a synopsis about how Chloe and Kim's relationship is deteriorating over time, and is Kendall really happy about this? No, there's no need to write dissertations and essays about it. Just enjoy the fucking drama, enjoy the trashiness of it, enjoy it for what it is. It passes time. It kind of lets your brain not think too deep into it. You get some giggles and some laughs, and you can continue on with your day. But imagine if this was actually your life. Like, this is actually BGL's career. Like, he has to pay rent, mortgage, a car note, support a wife, to go out on holidays, buy clothes and shit around this nonsense world that they've kind of created themselves, that they've created for themselves. No parts in it whatsoever. That's why I'm happy and I don't get offended when I hear these comedians say, oh, regular civilians. I'm happy to be a regular civilian. Fuck having to, have this be my fucking life day to day. Fuck that. I'm happy to be a regular civilian, out there working a regular job and living a regular life. Fuck all this shit.
And then in response to him saying, it's all good, wish you the best, I go, haha, fucking pussy. The moment shit gets real. Which meant like, the moment shit gets real, oh, and he always does this. Like I go, like, I start to list off shit. He's like, hey man, I'm good. I'm going to let you. It's like, oh, because you can't confront reality. Weird. And he goes, I go, the moment shit gets real, I go, you need to be honest with yourself. You don't just treat me like shit. You treat everyone like shit. And I've tried to explain that to you, but you're not interested in hearing that. And then he left.
Niggas reading out his diary to us. We don't fucking care, man.
Left me this stupid voicemail.
What's up, brother?
What's up, brother? You hurt me, brother.
Send your voice note, say not to text.
For obvious reasons.
I'll subscribe to it.
I don't know, man. I've been contemplating whether hitting you back up. You seem really upset.
That's it.
No, I don't.
I didn't, man. If you want,
sorry, but that's upset face. That is upset face. That's that face, that thing with Michael B. Jordan. Do you remember there's that video of Michael B. Jordan at the NBA game when I think it's like post his breakup with Lori Harvey? Because I think the rumors or the story was that Michael B. Jordan proposed to Lori Harvey and she said no or something, right? That's the story they leak out there, and she kind of broke up with him and he was super in love with her. And then he's at the basketball game the next day and he's like, licking his lips. This kind of looks like it. This I swear reminds you of that face that Michael B. Jordan does, where the camera comes to him and he has to kind of pretend like he's all good.
Hurt me. You got me, brother.
You got me.
You got me.
I'm bleeding out.
I don't understand it. I don't
understand it.
Your friend. It's weird. I'm not even mad. I'm not even mad.
I also find it funny and cool that Brendan talks exactly the same way to his friends as he does on camera. I don't know why that made me laugh and it was funny. Like his same sort of cadence and the same sort of phrase. Hey, brother, you got me. I'm not even mad. Honestly, I'm not mad. I don't know why. I'm not. It's like he feels like he's on a podcast or something. It's so funny, don't you think?
I'm not even mad. I'm not. I don't know why. It's weird. I'm not mad. I'm just hurt, man. I'm sad about it.
It's all about me. I'm not even hurt.
You're a friend, man. You're a really good friend. You don't have a ton of friends.
So I don't have a ton of friends.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. Why?
I hope you're doing okay, bro.
I hope you're doing okay.
I hope you're doing okay.
Obviously, you're mentally unwell, and that's the reason you're doing this, right?
Even now.
If you need anything, if you need me to just like pay you the money that I owe you from, months ago.
Despite all the bullshit we're dealing with. I hope you're okay, man.
We're dealing with.
I truly love you like a brother. You were great to me, man. You're a good dude, and I miss you, man. I hope you're okay. I doubt you text me back.
But then I did, and he had blocked me.
You have, you feel the way you feel, and that's valid.
So I guess the blocking thing, because I was saying it's kind of gay, but I guess in that world, the blocking thing is more so preemptive, isn't it? So I guess they both knew that they were both trying to piss each other off, and to kind of power play, you block first before they block you, kind of thing. I'm assuming that's what they're doing, which is equally, if not way more gay. Like, you're having this fucking silent tete-a-tete, like, who's gonna block who first? Like, fucking hell, man. Go outside and kick a fucking ball, for fuck's sake.
If that's the way you feel, man.
If that's the way you feel.
I don't know what to do, but, yeah, I hope you're okay, man. That's it.
So my takeaway from it, you know, of course, I'm happy to hear your response, but like very manipulative, right? It's very sympathetic, and you almost go like, oh, poor baby. But then you go like, he takes accountability for 0 things, right? And now maybe he feels like it's all my responsibility. Okay, that's fine. You should say that then. If I thought that, I'd be like, dude, what the fuck is, like, that was all your fucking fault. Like, I'd be mad. He goes, I'm not even mad. Oh, you're not mad. Thank you for being so gracious and not even being mad at me being honest about the ways in which you treated me like shit. Then he goes, I'm really hurt. Makes it about him. Then he implies like, it just sounds like you're really upset. Listen to the Red Bar interview that he's responding to. There is not a hint of malice. There's not a hint of anger. I'm speaking matter-of-factly. And in fact, like, you saw me get riled up on this podcast today, but some of that was like hearing these accusations for the first time. You do get angry and you do get upset. By the time that I was speaking on my experience with Red Bar, I had already let my emotions settle for several weeks. And I don't like to speak out on things when I'm angry. That's never my style, is to like have a reaction and just blast it because I go, I need to think this through. I'm angry. I need to go, you know, lock myself in a room and figure that the fuck out. And I went back and forth on whether or not I would. And I only decided to speak out when I felt like I got enough information and talked to some people that had a similar experience. And it crossed over to be like, you know what? I need to do this for more than myself. If it was just myself, I'd be less interested in doing it. Maybe I'd still do it. But like, if you know me, you know that's not how I'm really driven. And I've had situations like this before where I kept it private. And I've emailed people and just told them what my issues were. And some people actually can respond to that, you know, and go, you know what, you're right. But I always will lay it out for people. And I've done that with Shaw before. And so even the idea of like, I don't understand.
Also, did he not realize that entire interview in Red Bar was fucking mocking him to his face? Or am I the only one that felt that way? Red Bar is a fucking legend. I enjoy his content, but it was clear that he was fucking spinning that guy like an absolute frisbee. He tried to get a lot out of him. He didn't really get much out of him, but it wasn't necessarily a charitable interview. He didn't necessarily, you know, he wasn't in awe of BGL. He despises the guy. If anything, he probably thinks less of him for exposing Brendan than he did before. Probably. I'd imagine so. But it wasn't a good interview. Like, it didn't make him look. Does he not understand that he was taking the piss out of him? Or am I mistaken here?
Missed you as thanks for the stream and saying what a lot of us are thinking. People are bowing down to BGL, but I get the differ.
Yeah, exactly. Big up Uche. Thank you for the donation. I appreciate you. Yeah, I beg the differ as well. To be fair, I never was sold on it just because of the personality. Again, it's not BGL's fault. I'm just responding to his personality, what he projects, because I've been to LA a couple of times only. And I remember one of the things that really kind of made me have a bad taste in the back of my mouth was going to bars and parties with people who were trying to make it, and this kind of fake type of like trying to be cool and down in simple, like this personality that they had just drove me crazy, and it kind of rubbed me up the wrong way. But when you go to like regular dive bars and you hang around regular people in LA, it's fucking the best. But remember, you're surrounded with people in the industry, that kind of vapid, leechy, clout chasing thing is horrible. I remember precisely talking to a couple of guys, and when they figured out that I wasn't nobody, I was just there on holiday. I was going to a fucking Odd Future festival. They legitimately, when they found out that I wasn't anything, they legitimately turned their back and walked away. It was like it's like a scene from a high school movie where the kids getting bullied and shit. They literally turned their back and walked opposite directions. It's like, wow. Either my breath stinks, or I'm not a good conversationalist, or they clearly saw that they couldn't get anything from me and they walked away. So when I see BGO and how he acts, it reminds me a lot of those guys I met, so I don't really respond too well to it. But yeah, I just didn't understand the premise of it, because I was looking at all stuff online. Again, some of the insights have been interesting, but I was trying to dig deep on a story first broke on Reddit. I was like, what's the issue here really? Him and Brendan had a falling out. People fall out all the time that you work with. But the way he was exposing Brendan didn't make sense. I couldn't marry up the same guy who 6 months ago was literally on my channel leaving Bible scripture length responses. Basically, I didn't even read it. I remember reading the top couple of too many words basically, but in the gist of it, he was kind of saying, kind of pushing back on something that I might have said in the clip. But I'd assume he'd be using more forceful words or whatever, trying to assert himself, whatever. Cool, do it, because he's your friend at that time. I just couldn't marry up that person who was leaving Bible scriptures under my videos to this person who's suddenly going on one of the most hated people in flipping comedy and Red Bar's channel and divulging all the gossip on his, former manager, or sorry, former boss, who is one of the most hated people in comedy also. It just didn't marry up. Like, how is this the same person? And if anything, it made BGO look worse because he was just 6 months ago leaving fucking Bible scriptures under my videos and other people's comments and shit. So it's like, what? And then when you get to the heart of the issue, what's the heart of the issue? Brendan wasn't a good communicator, allegedly, didn't give him encouragement, didn't set the parameters of what he wanted in terms of, fucking deliverables in terms of social media, move the goalposts on certain expectations, minimize contribution, service you get whenever you work in a shitty workplace. We've all done it. We've all worked in shitty workplaces, and then he owes him money, according to BGL, because he feels like he did some work that he wasn't paid for. Cool, sort that out person to person. If it doesn't go the way you need to go to, kick up a fuss online if you need to be about the money and keep to that, and maybe threaten to sue. But all this other stuff just seems weird because he was excusing this behavior of Brendan 6 months ago, and now suddenly it's an issue. For me, that kind of stinks a bit. It stinks a bit. Just me. It just stinks. But maybe I'm wrong.
I've laid it out very clearly in writing multiple times for him, all these issues that he had, and he gives me the same treatment of, I don't understand.
So you're saying basically this is not your first rodeo. He always comes back and plays the victim, and he's sorry and this and that.
Dust up, it's always, hey man, I didn't like how you did things. What and to Brian's credit, by the way, I've had
exactly. Evie said the fucking summed it up perfectly. Evie, at the heart, the heart of the issue is they're all bullshit. Sorry, they're all trash humans. Exactly, and that's what I don't like about this whole thing. I know I'm full of shit. I just don't like when other people pretend like they're not full of shit also. So if you're there pointing fingers at Brendan and how he acts and how he goes about it, could you also admit that you may also be a piece of shit yourself? You may also have some of the traits that he has, hence why you kind of, were drawn to him and you wanted to defend him because you felt like there was some kinship there was some familiarity there, blah, 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 blah. Come on, let's be real. But he's not doing that. Brendan's the bad guy. And then he's the angel in the situation. It's weird.
Had a couple dust ups with Brian, some disagreements, minor things. He'll look at me the next time I see him and go, hey man, come here. I'm sorry about yesterday. That was wrong. I was a little heated, whatever. And
hey, come here. You're my boyfriend now.
I can go, yeah, man, me too. I'm going to take responsibility. And to me, that's the masculine thing to do is take complete ownership. If the other person doesn't want to accept your apology, you can't force them. If they don't want to take accountability,
he needs to go on Fresh and Fit. All this fucking pseudo masculinity, manhood, nonsense he's spouting. He needs to go on fucking Fresh and Fit. This is what he sounds like. He needs to create a comedic Fresh and Fit, whatever that means, right? Some sort of version of it. That's what he needs because this is fucking annoying. What is all this stuff? As a man, as a this, bruv, you work for a podcast. It's not that deep. These niggas are going on as if they're legitimately in the fucking Navy SEALs or some shit, or they're fucking building a startup or some shit. It's not that deep. You talk about current events in the news, you make some jokes here and there, viral topics here and there, that's it, and you plug your comedy dates. You have to post some of their reels and Instagram things on socials. It's not that deep, man. Relax.
Ability for anything, you can't force them, but Brendan has never once looked me in the eye and said, hey, I'm sorry. And I think he's done a lot wrong, and I dismissed a lot, and we kind of I'd let it go. But what he's never done, what you didn't see here, and what you're not going to see anywhere in the text is going.
If you have a dad or a parent that's like that didn't never say sorry or never hugged you, don't you just move on? It's bad. Oh, my dad didn't hug me, never kissed me, never said I love you. It's not the best way to be brought up, and maybe it might have some issues down the line. But surely after a certain time, you just put up with it and you just move on. And what you try to do is correct the things that you didn't like growing up. Or I didn't get much affection, I wasn't given much encouragement. And you try to correct those wrongs with your kids or people that you know or anyone that comes around you. You be overly loving, overly supportive, encouraging, blah, blah, blah. That's what you do, innit? As a human, you just try to make the best of it. So I don't know what all these complaints are about. I don't know.
It was wrong of me to do this thing. That's never happened. And that's also very telling,
Wow. Holy smokes. I'm stopping it right there. That is like a mic drop. I was going to go into the
He's tired. Just right. He's bored. That was not a mic drop. He just wanted to go. He's hungry. He wants to go meet his missus, go hang out with his dog, play with his kids, go on the PlayStation. He's just done with this interview. He's fucking bored. Uche was right. He's fucking bored. That was not a mic drop. I know when somebody's trying to get out of a conversation and leave. That is somebody just waiting to leave and having an excuse to leave.
KHALYLA stuff, but you already spoke about that stuff on other shows and all that nonsense. Are you still team Brendan on that though with KHALYLA? Or
you know, that's more nuanced, I guess. Like I think my opinion.
How is that nuanced? You don't know KHALYLA. You don't know her in any way, facet, shape, or form. All you've heard of the stories people have been sharing about her. She may be a fucking turbo whore. Who knows? I don't really give a fuck. But I just like I just said, I just find it really hilarious how he's so quick to psychoanalyze fucking Brendan, and he's and be able to judge his motives and his rationales and motivations, but somehow he's really, really sure about fucking KHALYLA to the point where it's bizarre. Like, what is a boner that these guys have with KHALYLA? I really don't know.
Opinion of who KHALYLA is as a person has maintained the same, but like just Brendan's level of fucking idiocy with dealing with like I think they were wrong to bring up the accusations of like the truck walk and saying he hit me in the DMs. It's like that's a little bit of a dicey territory. I just don't like.
Why is that dicey? Why is that? See, this is the thing I don't like fundamentally. Say what you want about KHALYLA, but at the heart of the issue, I've said it perfectly clear myself as a man. If you're gonna throw your shot in the DMs, you have to be understanding that you're opening yourself up to humiliation because you are engaging somebody in some level of discourse or flirtation, communication. Because you've involved them and you've hit them up in the DMs, it's their story now too. They can do with it what they please. They can post it on a blog, they can chuck it in a group chat, they can frame it, they can put it in your replies, they can do whatever they want because you're talking. It may be embarrassing, it may be in bad taste or whatever, but it's still their right. It's part of their story too. So if she wants to share on a podcast, oh yeah, this one guy who's married hit me up in the DMs, she can do that. It's not a problem. And if anything, I've said it from the beginning, Brendan could have avoided all the drama if he just would have ignored it. But guess what? It was true. So it hit home. It probably caused a lot of issues behind the scenes at home, I would assume, which is probably why the relationship between him and the Mexican is what it is, and she's posting his pictures, she's posting online. I think fundamentally it probably stemmed from that occasion, and maybe something to do with maybe the miscarriage or whatever. This is just me like observing from afar. I don't really know their business, but I would assume when KHALYLA said what she said and when Annie said what she said, as a woman, there's no way you can just ignore that sort of stuff. You're going to understand it and kind of react to it the way you're going to react to it. It made Brendan's life at home hell. And clearly, like, he tried to react and lash out in public to try and save face. But all of that lashing out in public to try and save face showed that clearly there was some truth in it. But at the heart of the issue, what they said was somewhat accurate. He did offer freaking Annie Lidderman a truck walk. I believe so. And he probably did try and slide into KHALYLA's DMs. Maybe it wasn't as, upfront and out there as KHALYLA made it seem as. But why else would you be sliding into the DMs of your friend's girlfriend who you don't really know that well? Like, especially if you're not that friendly. Why are you messaging her in the first place? Especially late at night or something. Clearly you want something. So I don't actually get the issue that's at hand here. And again, her motivations for it can be what they are. But at the end of the day, what she said, was it correct or was it not? Is she not allowed to say that or is she not allowed to say that? Like, what the main problem is Brendan hitting them up, isn't it? Shouldn't that be the main issue? If he didn't offer Anya a truck walk and he didn't slide into KHALYLA's DMs, none of this shit would have happened. I don't understand the issue these guys have with it. And it's as if like KHALYLA's like experience is invalidated because she likes to fucking have orgies or she likes to fucking get gangbanged or whatever. Like, who gives a fuck? I don't get, like, why does it matter? It's like that girl that accused Shy Glizzy of putting fucking, stuff in her drink allegedly and making her pass out and try and do stuff to her while she was like, unconscious. Just because she's a fucking porn star, does it invalidate her experience that she went through? Oh, because she makes content on OnlyFans, she must be lying. It's just like, what world are we living in?
I don't like trying to hurt somebody's family, just for like clicks and views. And then...
Oh yeah, and as KHALYLA said here, by the way, let's also rewind it. He DM'd his friend's girl, as KHALYLA says here. Remember that. And Brendan's always said, oh, Bobby Lee was always so nice to me. He was one of the only people that welcomed me to open arms in the Comedy Store, which is true. I don't know why. Maybe Bobby Lee is, he's a bit of a pussy as well. So maybe he kind of did that in a way to protect himself and make sure that Brendan didn't try to bully him. So he went out of the way to be really overly nice to him so that he could kind of love bomb him in that kind of way. But he still was nice to him regardless when he didn't need to be. And how did Brendan thank him? He slides into his girlfriend's DMs. Cool.
Secondly, the Bobby Lee is the master of the subreddit thing. That was so many levels of fucking stupid. He hires this fucking team of fake hackers, gives them cash in a fucking duffel bag, and knowing who he went through to get these hackers, in retrospect, I'm like, oh my God, why didn't you fucking tell me that at first? I would have been like, run, don't walk, run away from this person. You're probably getting scammed. In retrospect, you realize that, I think to some degree, that this all may not have been real, but he's not evaluating the 300 pages of evidence that he claims to have had. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. And then it's the stupidest thing in the world to go out and publicly, not publicly, but go to Bobby Lee knowing that he has a platform to talk about if your accusation is false. It's kind of like the gay thing we talked about earlier. Mm-hmm. When you're telling, other people that oh, this guy's gay. It's imagine that's not true and walk yourself through the ethical implications of that false assumption and false accusation. For a narcissist, that's impossible because it would have to open up.
The host wants to go home so badly. He may be at home already, but he wants to eat his dinner. He's thinking about what he has in the fridge. He's wondering if he needs to pop out and get some mayonnaise or buy some ketchup. He's thinking, should he get some Wendy's? Should he go to Popeyes? He's thinking, does he have enough beer in the fridge? He's thinking, are his running shoes clean? He is not there. Honestly, Uche, what a great observation. I've just realized this now. He is bored out of his fucking skull. Bicho is just talking his absolute ear off. Absolute ear off. He is going on and on and on and on. The host is absolutely bored out of his skull. Look. He's never hanging up. This is the type of person, I don't know if you had friends like this before, but I've had them. And, I'm sorry for my friends that might hear this, but there might be occasions where you're talking to a friend and they're just talking too long and you purposely go to a place where the phone's going to hang up. You go under a bridge somewhere. You go to a place where your network kind of drops or something. Or maybe you open up a couple of apps and it drops out so that the phone will fucking disconnect because your friend isn't going to fucking hang up anytime soon.
The possibility that you're wrong about something, which is very difficult for him to do. So because of his arrogance, because of that pride, because of his inability and unwillingness to think through anything, he just made the situation, which was stupid in the first place, 1,000 times worse. And he still can't own up to that fact when his ticket sales are dwindling and the views are dwindling. He won't even acknowledge hey, maybe the fact that you attacked and bullied this beloved comedian, that might have something to do with it. Oh, no, it's because of the recession. Sure thing, dude.
Oh my God.
He wants to go home so badly.
I love it, man. I love your honesty. I love the way you you're an open book and you explain
Thanks for coming on the show.
Story. I appreciate you stopping by tonight and your lovely wife coming on for a little bit as well. Hey, anytime you want to come back on, you have anything to say, you're always free to come back on the show. And you said you're going to be starting your own podcast, right? Like a new podcast?
Yeah, I got to.
Don't ask him any more questions, man. You're fucking up the MMA-Holes. You keep asking him questions. You should just tell him to plug his socials and keep it moving.
A couple things in the work. I'm going to start a podcast with Isaiah Miranda. I'm going to rebrand my own solo podcast and also have something else. So we got a few things in the works. I don't want to, talk too much about it just in case, I hate being this thing's going to happen by next month and then it doesn't. But
yes.
Just know, of course, I want to continue podcasting. I really enjoy it. And I'm looking forward to doing it without, having to also work for a dickhead like Brendan as part of the deal. So,
Mark, you're the best. It was a pleasure meeting you. Love to speak again soon and have a great night. All right.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much for having me on, and thanks for asking the questions and being a neutral participant in this back and forth.
Thank you. All right, there he is, Hella Mark Harley, live on.
If you're over the age of 30 and you're calling yourself Hella, you need to jump off the highest bridge.
On the MMA-Holes, what do you say in the chat? Wow.
Okay, I'm glad it's over. I'm not gonna lie, I'm fucking glad it's over, man. I'm fucking over all that shit. I can't believe. Oh my god, what a waste of time. So, I'm probably gonna have to do another stream and pick up all the tabs I wanted to pick up on, because clearly I missed out on a lot of stuff and I wasted a lot of time listening to all this fucking shit. And as someone said in the fucking, you know, in the chat, he didn't actually divulge anything that we didn't know. You know what I mean? We knew all this stuff before, and if you're really plugged in and have your kind of finger on the pulse, if anything, he kind of exposed himself and kind of showed himself to be maybe not the best employee in the world, especially if, you know, one little faux pas or little grievance with an employer and he suddenly throws them under the bus, exposes all their fucking gory details and secrets. It probably isn't the best way to go about doing what you're going to do, but, you know, he's a big boy. Let him do what he needs to do. It is what it is. But yeah, man. What an absolute shit show, man. I just can't believe he kept that fucking poor host on fucking hostage on his own podcast. He did not want to let him go. He wanted to fucking eat up every single bit of time that guy had on there, man. He was absolutely all over it. All over it in a weird way. Absolute weirdo, honestly. Absolute weirdo. Oh, God almighty. But where is it? Let me see this. What's this? There's a thing on here on the Tfatk sub. I want to quickly check out. What is this? Judgment of what? Has that been done? What's happened here? What's happened here? What's happened? Oh, okay. So I think someone posted the court documents from the Brendan Schaub case with the fucking thingamajiggy with the uniques. Oh, his name is Kyle Swindlers. Is that what Unique's name is? Kyle Swindlers. Madness. All right, fair play, Kyle Swindlers. Congratulations to you. Looks like he maybe was on the way to winning that fucking court case he has with bloody what's his name, Brendan. So congratulations on that regard. But yeah, man, there's not much else I want to add here. He's eating up most of my time and my energy on what I want to do and whatnot. Oh, what's that? Oh yeah, Michael. Yeah, the book. Yeah, oh yeah, it's an autobiography on. It's not autobiography. It can't be autobiography, but it's a book on Hitler. It's a really good one. I got recommended. It's actually recommended from Lex Friedman, I think. It's a thickie. I'm only about halfway through it anyway, but it's a thickie. It's by a guy called Ian Kershaw. That's the book there. It's pretty decent. And let me give you a synopsis of it. The synopsis says as follows about, this is the Hitler book, right? The synopsis says as follows. Let's read the synopsis here. The synopsis is, I go with more than half a century after his suicide and the destruction of the entire movement, Hitler continues to prey on the modern mind to a degree which is quite unique. The sheer scale of his evils he's unleashed on the world has made him a demonic figure without equal in modern history. Ian Kershaw's Hitler allows us to come closer than ever before to the serious understandings of a man and a catastrophic sequence of events which allowed the bizarre misfit to climb from the Venetian doss house to leadership of one of Europe's most sophisticated countries. With extraordinary skill and vividness drawing on huge range of sources, this biography recreates a world which thwarted and then nurtured the young Hitler, from his Habsburg provinces to his pre-war Vienna, from the crucible of the Great War to the toxic political world of 1920 Bavaria. As Hitler's seemingly pitiful fantasy of being Germany's savior attracted more and more support, Kershaw brilliantly conveys why so many Germans adored him, convened in him, or felt powerless to resist him. And so many points German elites could have prevented Hitler's rise, but each time they misguided the monster in their midst until it was too late. Doesn't that sound like somebody that we know, Mr. Putin? The book ends in 1936 with the march into the Rhineland. Through this extraordinary coup, Hitler gained an unassailable hold over both German people and German military. Looking back on his astonishing triumphs, Hitler now fully believed in his own cult. There was nothing he could do not to achieve, and Germany now firmly and willingly under his heel, he turned his eyes to the wider. So it's a pretty good book in that regard. I really recommend you check it out if you're fascinated with history. Personally, I do like to read up on, you know, deplorable and somewhat tyrannical figures in history. I've got a really good book on Genghis Khan that I read, all about, well, a biography on Genghis Khan that is pretty decent also. I think it's interesting to kind of look into the psyche of people who are demonstrably evil and to kind of find out what makes them tick, because usually there are elements in these people that you see in modern life and sometimes even in yourself that you can recognize and you can take heed from. And also it's good to know how sometimes they existed in life as well, and how people kind of allowed them and empowered them into kind of doing the things that they did, so you can maybe avoid doing that also. So I think these are really important tools. But yeah, this is a book that I've got. It's pretty decent. But yeah, got too many books, man. Too many books here. Way too many books to read. But yeah, that's the book over there. Anyway, so that has been the Random Show episode number 78. I don't want to hold you guys any longer. Sorry for taking up too much of your time with that fucking shitty interview. I should have probably, you know, scanned it beforehand, but I'll do another show tomorrow to kind of go over the things I want to talk about. Obviously I have to delete a lot of the stuff because he covered a lot of it in the streams, but I want to go over some of the key parts of what happened in the last few weeks and whatnot, and just kind of, you know, run my kind of finger over it and kind of go over it again, so I kind of got my, you know, my kind of part of what I want to say on record and whatnot. But yeah, man, big up everybody in the stream. Make sure you're liking the stream, please. If you haven't already, please make sure you like the stream. Give me a like, give me a bit of engagement there. That'll be much appreciated. And I will definitely be coming back for you. Personal inspiration, John Peel. Yeah, John Peel is a fucking legend. Not Hitler. Okay, I agree, Michael. I don't blame you. But yeah, big up you and everybody involved. And please make sure you're smashing the like for me. And I'll see you guys again very soon. Obviously, timestamps again will be uploaded later, but you know most of the vibe will be whatever you saw in the stream here. And obviously I'll take some clips from it also to kind of, you know, make for people who want to watch that stuff later. So yeah, thanks again for tuning in and hanging out with me. Do appreciate you. Yeah, library tour. Okay, Johnny, yeah, definitely for sure. I'll do a library tour for sure next time. I'll show you all the books that I have. I have many magazines and books and stuff, so you can check out. So yeah, I'll do that. But yeah, big up everybody in the chat, big up everybody in the stream. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Appreciate all of you guys. Sorry about the delay and not doing a stream for so long, but you know, life gets in the way and all that stuff, so I'll try and be on here as often as I can to lend my 2 pence on the situation, even though it's kind of over now. We kind of know what's happened, but you know, I know some of you like to hear from what I have to say and maybe talk to some of your other friends in the chat about these type of things. So I'll do my best to service you guys and provide you with that platform so you can share your grievances. But until now, thank you so much. I appreciate every single one of you. Take care, and I'll see you guys again very soon. Much love, much love, much love. Peace out, my friends.